Odinga-led demonstrators in protest dubbed, to try and bring the cost of living down. But what we witnessed, especially as journalists on ground, there was nothing to say that it was peaceful as opined or planned for. And actually some of the dailies that you're going to be sampling in the course of this particular broadcast have pictorials depicting that yesterday was nothing short of chaotic across various counties, including Migori and Kakamega, as well as environs of Nairobi city there. For those who are on ground, especially journalists capturing the moments, well, indeed, it was tear gas Monday. Some of us had to seek medical assistance owing to the spice and the pepper in the tear gas. Good morning once again. I am Regina Manyara. You're watching Good Morning Kenya, and we have so much in line for you, including what has been happening across the region. 20th of March 2023 was not just a day where Kenya witnessed demos and protests. We also had similar protests in Tunisia and South Africa. We'll be bringing you up to date with that. Just to remind you that we are open to your feedback. You can get us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle is at Ray Manyara. We have Ram Aguko too. Tell us what you think about yesterday's demos, and did they serve the purpose? The purpose of this particular protest was to bring attention to the government, the administration, the Ruto-led administration, to the plight of Wanjiko, so to speak, in as far as matters of cost of living is concerned. But did they meet the purpose? Get tweeting. Now let's start from there, where President William Ruto says that he will not condone impunity in the country. He was speaking on Monday State House, Nairobi, where he witnessed the swearing in of Solicitor General Shadrach Mose. The president further insisted that no one is above the law. He at the same time said he was confident that the new Solicitor General will offer leadership based on his experience, knowledge and understanding of the law.
Except with the authority.
And as we enjoy our rights as individuals, we must be careful also to ensure that we don't trample on the rights of others. And the cardinal principle is that as a country that believes in the rule of law, there is no greater or lesser person. None of us is above the law. I'm confident that you are adequately prepared to work in the office of the Solicitor General, to provide leadership and to ensure that the government of Kenya gets the legal advice, guidance and support that is necessary for the government of Kenya to discharge its responsibilities as required by the Constitution and the laws of Kenya.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has urged Kenyans to ignore calls for the demonstrations, and that was yesterday, saying that they were not good for the economy. Let's have a recap of what the Deputy President had to say about what was happening yesterday.
As Azimio la Umoja wa Kenya coalition kicked off a series of countrywide mass action. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua castigated the demonstrations, quantifying the loss courtesy of the protest to almost 2 billion shillings.
As a result, this morning, because of lack of business in the CBD, the country has lost almost 2 billion shillings in terms of business. And this is money that should have been circulating in the economy. And we want to ask the organizers to consider this afternoon to call off the mayhem and the chaos, so that those who did not open their businesses and shops can go back to work this afternoon.
Rigathi, while assuring Kenyans of the president's firm stand to ensure security is beefed up, urged Kenyans to ignore calls for weekly demos.
But I want to assure the people of Kenya that President William Ruto has given very firm and clear instructions to the Inspector General of Police to protect life and property.
The Deputy President accused Azimio leader Raila Odinga and his colleagues of exposing other people's children to danger while their children were safe in other countries.
They cannot ask the children of poor people to get involved in violence when their own children are in safety in the East African Legislative Assembly in Arusha. It is not fair, it is not right. If they are so persuaded that people need to go to the streets and cause chaos and mayhem, they should ask their children to be in the forefront.
The Deputy President made the remarks while in Mombasa, flagging off the distribution of 25,000 metric tons of wheat from the United Kingdom through the World Food Programme.
Now that was what was happening yesterday. We take a quick breather. We'll be back with a recap of what has been making headlines locally as well as across the borders. Kujeni tupange running order bwana.
Mimi sijui. Nimesikia tu fununu kwamba hii Seldigan by usiku haitakuwepo.
Sikiza. Nani kama dosen kasirika kwa vita vitumikaza mguu kidogo, sawa?
Ibuchi kamera za border crossing point zote sahi.
Ati?
Kamera za border crossing point zote sahi.
Tumechezo. Roll out! Move!
Huyu jamaa unaona kiwa credible kweli?
Tuta find out soon.
If they haven't returned the bracelet yet, I really don't understand. Why are you doing this to yourself?
It's your fault. Your fault. All your fault. I was hesitating and wanted to give up on this. You told me to be brave. If it weren't for you, I would have given up by now and I wouldn't feel as terrible as I do now.
Did you have a fight with your boyfriend? Is someone being mean to you?
Thank you for including me and forgiving me. And thank you for helping to increase sales by implementing my ideas. We're all one team. But of course, we don't need to get everyone on board.
Stop calling him Harvey at work already. You're at work, not at your home. You're at the office, okay? At your workplace, shouldn't you show respect towards your boss? Be more careful, or your wages will be deducted. Now, repeat after me. Mr. Bai.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Then we should finish what we have started. And what is it you two started? I heard that you were here, so I came by to see if I'd be lucky enough to find you.
Well, you should be very happy because you're twice as lucky, sweetheart. Because aside from her, I'm also here to surprise you.
Eventually, is it okay if I change the colors? On this wall? I don't know, a different color. I like this one very much. What do you think? Alonso, what are you doing here?
Ruben, I'm in love with you.
Dime si este sentimiento que hoy siento dentro de mí.
A day after Maandamano Monday, so to speak, where 4 opposition legislators were arrested for leading mass protests in the Nairobi Central Business District, and they were detained at the Kiambu police station. Among those arrested was Senate Minority Leader Stewart Madzayo and his National Assembly counterpart Opiyo Wandayi. They were later released on a cash bail of 50,000 shillings each, awaiting to be charged in court on Thursday.
Monday morning in the Nairobi CBD, a standoff ensued between the police officers and protesters as demonstrations called by Azimio la Umoja One Kenya commenced. Police engaged in running battles, lobbing tear gas to disperse protesters across the city. At around 10 a.m. in the morning, a delegation of Azimio MPs led by Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna stormed the Kenyatta International Conference Center. The senator and the protesters scampered as tear gas was lobbed, with those who had started gathering outside KICC also taking cover. It is during this time when 4 legislators found themselves among protesters who have been apprehended in efforts to contain the brewing unrest. Among those arrested are Senate Minority Leader Stewart Madzayo, Ugunja Member of Parliament Opiyo Wandayi, Malindi Member of Parliament Amina Mnyazi, and Kilifi Legislator Ken Chonga.
I do not expect they have any grounds to take them to court, but if they take them to court, we are equal to defend the right of association, the right of picketing, and as a lawyer, we will defend the rule of law.
Legal counsel Danson Omari confirmed that the 4 were detained at Kiambu police station. After close to 6 hours, the legislators and 2 aides were finally released on a cash bail of 50,000 shillings each and ordered to attend court hearing on Thursday.
We are now leaving Kiambu police station after a day full of drama. I want to call it drama because it was totally unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. Trying to use the police and the judicial system.
I've been in this country for some time, and I know how decent police officers are. But the ones I've seen today, it was shocking.
They will be charged with the offense of having an unlawful meeting.
And we'll be keeping tabs on that particular development with our reporters from the courts. Now, traders in the capital are counting losses after Azimio protests disrupted business operations for the larger part of the day Monday. Now, they are seeking assurance from the government that calm will prevail and normalcy return today, which is Tuesday.
What once was a city buzzing with traders marketing their wares turned into a battleground for protesters and police. The collateral damage: thousands of traders forced to look on in worry from shop windows, unsure of when it will be safe to reopen. Businesses have had to make peace with the losses incurred so far and the irreparable damage caused to a majority of their establishments.
Tunafanyanga kazi tunapata kama faida ya 5,000 na kwa siku ya leo tumepoteza. Pia customers wetu wengine wako kwa bari tunatumianga vitu na kwa siku ya leo pia wao watakuwa stranded kwa sababu hatuwezi fanya na hatuwezi pata hata means ya kutuma.
Hii ni hasara kubwa kwa kila mtu, as a republic, hasara kubwa kwa kila mtu.
Kilichofanya watu wafunge ilikuwa ile mshike. Sasa huwezi fanya biashara katika hiyo hali, ni ngumu sana.
They say by 10 a.m. many of the customers who usually stream in had to run for cover, with some making away with wares and services they had not paid for.
Kwa leo tumepoteza do, seriously do. Kuna customers wameenda na do, wengine tu mwasav, do imepotea. Suddenly vurugu. Tumepika, food inalala hapa.
You can see how it is now in CBD. We are losing business. We are losing a lot. Like today when you can see, we usually operate more than 300 vehicles. But when you see now, there is no vehicles are going to parking, drivers are going to parking. We have no passengers. Today we are going to have a loss.
Walienda na wengine hata wakaenda kama hamjamalizana na wao, wengine hata wakaenda na pesa zetu.
They are grateful that intervention by security personnel contained the damage.
Mimi nimeona wako sawa kwa sababu atisi kama sio wao au vijana wangekuja huku na wangebeba vitu mingi sana zetu za biashara.
They want assurance from the government that a repeat of the same will not occur.
And for the business community, the ongoing riots have caused nothing but insurmountable losses. Their hope that things go back to normal so that they can go back to their daily operations.
And we'll be doing a spot check within the Central Business District to ascertain if business has resumed or we have gotten back to normalcy after yesterday there. But if you have been driving to the CBD, which hosts over 85% of workstations within Nairobi, well, business looks, back to normal. We are seeing vehicles driving into the CBD. Some children are expected to resume or go back to school after the midterms. So we expect a beehive of activity with characteristics of normalcy after that particular chaotic day. We'll be keeping tabs on that. Now let's speak on matters security, where business was brought to a standstill along the Marigat-Chemolingot Road after locals blocked the busy highway to protest increased cases of banditry attacks. The move disrupted transport activities along the road, affecting essential services, including those of Red Cross, ambulance and World Vision. Vehicles carrying school-going children leading to Tiati constituency were also trapped for several hours. Deputy Inspector of Police Nur Gabo, who was caught up in the demonstration, was forced to address the angry residents. Yesterday, bandits attacked Nosukuro, Mukutani in Baringo South and injured one person who is currently receiving treatment at the Marigat Sub-County Hospital.
Utatoa hiyo wakora, mkae usalama, na sisi serikali tuko hapa kuanzia wiki moja. Niko hapa na mimi niko hapa, siwezi ondoka hapa.
Kila siku kazi yetu ni kuzunguka na kusema pole. Tunataka maneno ya pole ikome, ishe. Nataka ikome kabisa. Hatutaka tuwe tukirudia kila siku tukusema pole pole.
Rais umejaribu ya kutosha. Tunataka tuseme ya kwamba kuja utusaidie. Wamama wanasaa msituni, watoto wanalala msituni, shule hakuna, watu wanakufa. Mtu mwingine na wawa leo na pelekwa Kabarnet, kesho mwingine.
Residents there, currently the government is on an operation in the north to secure the north against banditry attacks. Just a few days ago, the government I highlighted 27 areas in which they think that these particular bandits are hiding out, using their families as human shields. We'll be keeping tabs on what is happening in the north. Now, the Constitution of Kenya 2010 recognizes various parties in the country's political system. Article 10 of the Constitution sets out the principles of governance, which include democracy, participation of people, and accountability of those in power. Today we look at the role of Kenya's opposition as spelled out in the Constitution in upholding these principles even through protests.
Monday, 20th March 2023, the opposition led by its leader Raila Odinga staged mass protests across the country to push the government to lower the cost of living and taxes on some commodities. The opposition, claiming the withdrawal of subsidies for food, fuel and education, escalated the suffering of Kenyans. But what does the law say about picketing and the opposition's role? Article 153 of the Constitution establishes the office of the leader of the official opposition. The leader of the party or coalition of parties that has the second highest number of members in the National Assembly is recognized as the leader of the official opposition. But what about when it comes to protests? Article 37, Section 1, Part B stipulates, however, that any assembly, demonstration, picketing or petitioning must be peaceful and unarmed. This means that protesters must refrain from violence, destruction of property, or any other behavior that may cause harm or infringe on the rights of others. In addition, Article 37, Section 2 states that the right to assemble and demonstrate shall not extend to any person who is not a citizen, or to any assembly or demonstration that is intended to cause a breach of the peace, or that threatens public safety, public order, public morality, or national security. The Public Order Act also requires organizers to notify the police of their intent to hold a demonstration at least 3 days prior to the planned event. The police may then either grant or deny permission for the demonstration and may impose certain conditions to ensure public safety and order. In summary, the Constitution of Kenya 2010 recognizes the important role of the opposition in promoting democracy, accountability and good governance. The opposition is recognized as an essential part of the political system, with a clear mandate to hold the government accountable, propose alternative policies and participate in the governance of the country.
Now, indeed, that report by Alan Oko puts matters into perspective in as far as the law is concerned when it comes to matters of protests and demonstrations. So while that was happening, the nationwide protest organized by the opposition in Kenya also coincided with such protests in 3 other African countries. We had protests in South Africa, Tunisia and Nigeria that were fueled by claims of electoral injustice and growing dissatisfaction with the regime, with how the regime in power was running the affairs of those countries. Nduta Mukami with the details.
Kenya's opposition leader Raila Odinga led a convoy of vehicles across residential estates after police blocked access to Nairobi's central business district. The veteran politician has been making stops at various centers to address his supporters who have been demonstrating since morning. Odinga called the anti-government protests, accusing the authorities of failing to address the rising cost of living. Meanwhile, thousands marched through the streets of South Africa's cities to demand that President Cyril Ramaphosa resign, as security forces guarded malls and roads to prevent violence and looting. Several journalists working for South Africa's public broadcaster, SABC TV, have been attacked while covering opposition protests in Cape Town. Reports by local media note that the incident occurred in the early morning hours as the crew was filming visuals of the protests. One of the journalists has been hospitalized with head injuries, local media said, describing the incident as traumatic. Elsewhere, protests in Tunisia's capital Tunis have been ongoing to pressure the government over the alleged authoritarian rule by President Kais Saied. Thousands of opposition supporters, including members of the Tunisian General Labour Union, have been rallying in the capital of Tunis. And finally, Nigeria's opposition outfit, the People's Democratic Party, led by its presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, has amassed protests over alleged electoral fraud. Supporters who caused traffic jams in parts of Abuja also carried placards with inscriptions, "We say no to justice and fraud, and no more cheating."
So indeed, Kenya was not alone, but the ripple effect has been felt in all sectors, including the economy, as well as, aspects of transport that was paralyzed yesterday. We'll be keeping a tabs on what is happening even across the region, the ripple effect of those particular protests. Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says the government is banking on a public-private partnership to expand the ports of Mombasa and Lamu. Addressing French business community members who visited the port, the Deputy President said they are seeking to make Mombasa Port a regional entry point through modernization and expansion investments.
The government has assured investors of increased efficiency at the port of Mombasa as it seeks to make the port a regional entry point. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has asked the new Kenya Ports Authority Board management to prioritize modernization of the port to attract more business.
And we are challenging the new management to even do much better and to make this port the destination of choice in the African continent, so that anybody who wants to do business, to bring goods anywhere in Africa, finds the port of Mombasa as the destination of choice. Ours as a government is to assure the new management and the managing director of our support. We'll support you, whatever changes you want to make, whatever programs that you have in terms of seeking out projects on public-private partnership. You have the support of our government.
The government says it is seeking increased public-private partnerships to expand the ports in the country, including the port of Mombasa, to give them a competitive edge over regional ports.
The Ruto administration has created a good environment for business. We have instructed our officers across government to do away with red tape and bureaucracy and make it easy to do business in this country. We have made very serious reforms in this port of Mombasa. We have put in a new board of directors to inject fresh ideas, passion and energy into the affairs of this port.
Gachagua asked that Kenya is seeking to tap into the African markets to increase volumes at the port of Mombasa.
We want this port to be very efficient, and we want to increase the volume of business so that eventually we can also increase the number of people employed in this port.
Players called for more investments in key infrastructure to ease movement of goods from ports to the hinterland.
Some of your opinions and feedback in regard to yesterday's protest. Michael Wakenda says, give President Ruto time to work. On that note, we take a quick breather. We'll be back with more. Do not go away.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustler fund?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
If they haven't returned the bracelet yet, I really don't understand. Why are you doing this to yourself?
It's your fault. Your fault. All your fault. And I was hesitating and wanted to give up on this. You told me to be brave. If it weren't for you, I would have given up by now and I wouldn't feel as terrible as I do now.
Did you have a fight with your boyfriend? Is someone being mean to you?
Thank you for including me and forgiving me. And thank you for helping to increase sales by implementing my ideas. We're all one team. But of course, we don't need to get everyone on board.
Stop calling him Harvey at work already. You're at work, not at your home. You're at the office, okay? At your workplace, shouldn't you show respect towards your boss? Be more careful, or your wages will be deducted. Now, repeat after me. Mr. Bai.
Mimi sijui. Nimesikia tu fununu kwamba hii Seldigan by usiku haitakuwepo.
Sikiza. Na nikamdosia nikasirika kwa vita vitumikaza mguu kidogo, sawa?
Ibuchi kamera za border crossing point zote sahi.
Ati?
Kamera za border crossing point zote sahi.
Tumechezwa.
Roll! Move! Huyu jamaa unaona kiwa credible kweli?
Tuta find out soon.
Good morning. You're watching In the Headlines on KBC Channel 1. I am Regina Manyara. Now, while he headed the Ministry of Finance, he made it compulsory for manufacturers of tobacco products to print a health warning on cigarette packs. This week's in the cabinet, we take a look at Arthur Kinyanjui Magugu, who served in President Daniel Toroitich's Arap Moi's cabinet.
Arthur Kinyanjui Magugu joined politics at the age of 35. In 1969, he took everyone by surprise when he ousted former Githunguri Member of Parliament and vocal freedom fighter Waira Wakamau. In 1974, he was appointed Assistant Minister for Health in the administration of President Jomo Kenyatta. Later on, he served as an Assistant Minister in the Ministry of Finance. In 1979, Magugu beat former diplomat and Vice-Chancellor of the University of Nairobi, Josephat Karanja, for the Githunguri parliamentary seat. In 1979, President Moi appointed him to head the Ministry of Health. He made it compulsory for manufacturers of tobacco products to print a health warning on cigarette packs. He is also credited with enforcing the landmark ban on smoking in public spaces. In the 1983 snap general election, Magugu was elected Githunguri Member of Parliament and was appointed Minister for Finance. Later, he served as Minister for Transport. Magugu remained in Kano even after the country returned to a multi-party system. After his appointment to head the Finance Ministry, he appeared to have slowed his role as he rarely attended parliamentary sessions, and to a point members of parliament raised queries about his prolonged absence. In 1983, he made history when he postponed the reading of the budget by a week. He didn't step into the parliamentary chambers until he shifted his political base to Mathare constituency in Nairobi during a by-election in 1986, following the self-exile of area Member of Parliament Andrew Kimani Ngumba. Magugu's tenure as Member of Parliament for Githunguri ran from 1979 to 1986. It is in 1992 when he was eased out of active politics during the multi-party elections. He would, however, be re-elected on a Kano ticket in 2002 as Member of Parliament for Githunguri. However, Magugu's health was deteriorating, and after the swearing-in ceremony, he was unable to attend any other session of Parliament. As Member of Parliament for Githunguri and Mathare between 1979 and 1992, Magugu spearheaded several development projects, including the building and rehabilitation of roads and schools. His 2002 to 2007 term fell short of his previous development record, mainly because he was ailing. Magugu died in September 2012. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
a trip down memory lane. Now into sports, the annual Muthaiga Open Golf Tournament will tee off this weekend at the Muthaiga Golf Club. The tournament is the third Kenya Amateur Golf Championship Series event and will feature top amateurs, professional golfers, junior and ladies. Team leading the park in Muthaiga is the reigning Sigona Bowl and Windsor Classic champion Michael Karanga, John Jerima and veteran John Gitonga, among other elite golfers. Naomi Wafula, Joyce Wanjiro, Chanel Wangare and Belinda Wanjiro will battle 6 other ladies for the top positions. The Junior Golf Foundation, in preparation for the All-Africa Junior Team Championship, will be held in Uganda between the 15th to the 21st of April, has also signed up 15 juniors who are part of the provisional squad to the event. The top amateur will pocket 130,000 shillings. Now you know where you ought to be this weekend if you are a lover of golf. Now, Moi University emerged victorious in the Rift Valley Nationwide Rugby Finals with a Hertford 27-20 win over Kitale Rugby Club at the Moi University main campus grounds. After closely contested first match went into the breather, Moi University leading by 17-3. And in the second half, Kitale Rugby Club scored 2 tries and a drop goal, while Moi University responded with a last-minute try. And now with this victory, Moi University advances to the championship quarterfinals qualifier, where they will face Kilifi, and Kitale Rugby Club, on the other hand, will host Kababi University in the championship pre-quarters. Puts a cap on matters in the headlines. Our website is officially and open for your perusal. www.kbc.co.ke. Tell us what you think about what we have captured for you today, as well as what you think we need to lay emphasis on. In not too long, we're going to be sampling the various dailies as captured by the scribes, given that it is exactly 12 hours or so after Maandamano Monday, as it has been dubbed, especially on social media. What is your take on that? Our Twitter handle at KBC Channel 1. For now, we take a quick breather. We'll be back with the dailies. The headlines are now. We sample the various dailies. I have a copy of the Standard, and you can bet the front page is all about what was happening yesterday. Raila, no retreat. I feel like saying no retreat, no surrender. Well, but that is what we go with. Raila, no retreat. And captured there is just some mugshots, or rather shots of exactly what was happening yesterday as the opposition leader Raila Odinga led protesters into various estates there after the security personnel cordoned off the central business district. It was actually running battles between civilians and the Kenya police. Now, in this particular article that has captured over 6-7 pages, that is page 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11 and 12 of this particular daily, it's all about what happened yesterday in pics and also in words. Opposition leader says there's no retreat or surrender, and they will press on with the demonstrations against the cost of living every Monday until the government acts, even as leaders condemned police for arbitrary arrest and brutality that saw protesters injured. If you have lived through the post-election violence of 2007, 2008, what does this particular header as well as the pics remind you of? I'm sure it takes you back over 10 years back when Kenya was divided politically, when we remembered exactly where we come from in terms of I speak this particular language or I come from this particular region. It has the makings of such, and I hope we do not deteriorate to that particular level. So also dollar shortage cripples Kenya Power. This has been highlighted in the business page, being it's Tuesday, we talk finances. It's on page 28, as well as that particular update yesterday with the standoff there in parts of the north. And this one goes, daring bandits strike in spite of operation. An operation is underway, but this seems not to deter the bandits from them continuing to wreak havoc to that areas. And residents say the bandits have evolved and no longer fear security agents. Tiati residents say the issue of banditry is complex and should be handled diplomatically. 135 is the number of people who have been killed in banditry attacks in the last 7 months, including 20 security officers, and this is according to Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki. Now, the killers were identified as bandits from a neighboring county, and locals blamed NPRs for the man's death and the loss of over 200 livestock. This is one of the latest cases there that has been recorded from the north amid the operation there, where the government went further to highlight 27 prone areas and actually offer civilians time to vacate the area as they intensified security operations. Will diplomacy work where action has failed? Well, we'll wait and see. We'll be keeping tabs on that. That is just a sneak peek of the front page of stories that have captured the eyes of the scribe this Tuesday, including the dollar shortage. If you look at the Central Bank weekly report there, it also indicated that the diaspora remittances have dipped. And this is one of the ways that, Kenya was banking on to actually show up capacity in as far as the dollar shortage is concerned. So this particular article there highlights the ripple effect of the dollar shortage, now not to manufacturers or importers, but to Kenya Power. That is a power distributing company there. And given the statement that was made yesterday to the Senate, is that it indicates that Kenyans will continue, rather Kenya Power will continue buying costly electricity there until Kenya transfers to green energy there that is cheaper in as far as production is concerned. That's just but a sneak peek of the Standard. Let's have a skim through the Star this morning. Same, different pictures, but same storyline. We're looking at, or rather having a recap of how yesterday was, and they have opted to go with City Paralyzed as Raila leads demos there. Various mugshots of Kisumu, Nairobi, Migori, and even the arrest of Senator Minority Leader Stuart Madzayo, who was arrested yesterday as he tried to access the KICC building in Nairobi. That's the front page. Then also major threat, Lake Naivasha water levels drop as feeder rivers dry up. An issue of climate change and its ripple effect to the ecosystem within Lake Naivasha. We will be giving you a sneak peek into that. Then also in as far as imports are concerned, is that the state has suspended ban on importation of milk powder as prices continue to rise. That's just but a sneak peek of what has been captured on the front page of the Star and the Standard. I don't know if we have a quick update on what is happening on our major roads. Ram, good morning. Are we ready yet?
Yes, good morning, Reggie. Yes, we have something here on my end. I am on the smart screen right here. And it is quite interesting because these are live feeds in regards to what's happening on our roads a day after the Mandamano Monday, Reggie. You mentioned that things need to change earlier on. Well, let's look at how things are. Let me refresh my page there. Remember, courtesy of Mathi Route, I'm taking a look at what's happening on our roads, and I'm looking at what I am Polycarp. It's saying, well, that's at I am Polycarp, and I say Jambo, Asante Sana, Thika Road, all the way from Garden City, heavy traffic towards a town and reaching Mudaiga. It is a parking lot. That is Polycarp. Ngei is me. That is at Ngei is me saying Thika Road is all traffic. Currently, this is at THK. It's saying currently Madare, Huruma, Juja Road, Pangani areas, traffic moving on well, and it is a business as usual. The head of protest is still sleeping at Karen home. That's according to what THK is saying. By the way, those who were protesting yesterday, are you tired now? I don't know how you're feeling. The effects of the Mandamano that took place yesterday. Reggie, you mentioned that sometimes as journalists we are always at the front line when it comes to giving these particular reports, and we get to feel the effects of these protests. Yesterday, I know, Reggie, you got that tear gas.
Well, I would want to say, Ram, it's not something I would want to, it's not a situation I would want to be in anytime soon. But now with the protests, with the leader of opposition is maintaining that this will be happening every Monday, and I'm a journalist, I'm likely to find myself in a similar situation as we were yesterday. Actually, I was covering the demos at DC. This is an intersection between Kibra and Ngong Road, so to speak. And even while we were shielding ourselves with the little that we could, unfortunately, a camera person got injured. A stone was actually hurled into the crowd of journalists, and it landed on his forehead. Luckily enough, we had a standby ambulance there, and he was, given immediate medical assistance. You can imagine then. And this made me think quite much about, the level of preparedness, especially in covering these kind of situations. Yeah. Are journalists equipped in protective gear? Do we have this protective gear when we are going out there? Because a majority could actually be exposed to danger in terms of grievous harm. Exactly. And I got a comment from one of our viewers who actually watched that particular link where I had to say that we need to be safe. And you are on live. You can't tell what is happening behind you. You're in the thick of things. Getting hurt is very easy.
It's very easy.
Yes.
Very easy. And I'm looking at where you are situated at. You recorded a certain video, you posted it online, and you're calling upon the name of our Lord and Savior.
Oh yes, because at that point, the only thing that could come into my mind was that I woke up this morning, I came to work, I was delivering as a journalist. Lord, please let me get back home to my children. Because that was the only, because my boss is not there. The security is busy trying to, quell this particular crowd of rowdy people. And instead of them calming down, actually they're getting more angered, and they're throwing all manner of, we have stones, we have bottles, we have glasses, we have metal. Everything was flying all over, so to speak, and it was directed at the security apparatus, and journalists were behind the security trying to be safe. So at that point, it just hit me that, overall, at the end of the day, the man at the top calls the shots,
We thank God for the man at the top, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Actually, after inhaling the tear gas there, I had to actually go to hospital because I lost my voice. My chest became so heavy. And that's the question, Ram. If you're going to be doing this each and every Monday, I think journalists, we need, various media houses need to bring or rope in their journalists, tell them, inform them on how they want these things covered, how safe are they, are those who have underlying medical conditions that would make them susceptible, to health hazards such as, I didn't have my inhaler with me yesterday. And if it was worse, maybe I would be one of those people collapsing, not because I am part of the demos, but I am there to cover, but I wasn't ready. This was an assignment that was given impromptu, you know?
And I'm looking at what some Kenyans believe. They think that the work of a journalist is so easy. You just wake up in the morning and look good on screen. No. There's a lot of work that takes place behind the scenes. We have camera operators, we have directors, we have producers, we have reporters, we have each and every person that has gone through a series of training in order for them to go out in the field and give you the live coverage like what we did yesterday. It wasn't easy. I'm looking at the story of Reggie. Well, as for me, I was here in studio. Reggie was in the field at the CBD, running away from everything and recording and calling upon the name of our Lord and Savior. As you at home, you see, this is not an easy task, but we are proud of what we do because it's our passion to keep you entertained, educated, and informed. So, Reggie, pole sana, and I hope our camera operator who got hurt will, I wished him
Actually, it was a gentleman from another media house. We were lucky. The team that was down in Kibra, actually Ram, was female. The reporter was female and the two camera persons were female. So I think we demonstrated courage, for lack of a better word. It wasn't easy though, but yeah.
Wow. And I'm looking at back on the streets here. This is Peponi Road. There is an accident that has taken place at Peponi, and I'm seeing a vehicle and a motorbike. Let me just zoom in so that you can be able to see from wherever you are. Let me zoom in. All right, so this is that particular accident you can see there at Peponi Road. Things are back to normal, and I'm seeing that Kenyans are busy on the streets, so accidents like this are prone to take place because everybody is in a hurry to get to work. I don't know how this took place though, considering the angle of the motorists, but anyway, that is a picture story for you. Peponi Road. Let me take a look at what others are saying. This is Being Shirley is saying that Kenyatta Avenue roaring back to life after Mano Monday. This is Kenyatta Avenue. Let me zoom into that picture. If you're at home and you're wondering how the CBD is, that is Kenyatta Avenue. Let me take a look towards the left. That is the CBD. Kenyatta Avenue there. Roaring back to life in this early Tuesday morning. So it's safe. Go to work. This is this is Good Morning, Thika Road lovers. How is the traffic? Yes, that is all right. Yes. So this is Augustine Vicky. He's saying tumerejea, normalcy, snarl-ups, and inshallah, Thika Road from Utalii drift via the service lane outside Madari Hospital. He recorded a video there and posted it on Twitter. Let me zoom in because now it's on your screen. This is how Thika Road looks like. Kenyans, we are back to work. But now I'm looking still. If the Maandamano will take place every Monday, how will it affect our source of income? How will it affect our economy? Because getting back to this isn't easy. But still, we thank the Lord that Kenyans are moving. We're seeing traffic. This is Thika Road. Kenyans are moving to work. Kenyans are walking to work. I'm seeing people walking up. This is Madari. I'm seeing people are walking here. I've just seen a motorbike that passed a few seconds ago. This is at Miriam Joki. He's talking about Outer Ring Road today. And this is at BRT, saying crazy traffic at Muthaiga heading towards Nairobi. And of course, that is along Thika Road. Okay, now let me shift from this place and head over to our maps, okay? So that we take a look at what other places look like, how other places look like. Quickly. Now, which route do you normally follow? Let's go to Mombasa Road, because that is one particular area that I know many Kenyans also apply also. This is Nairobi Expressway, of course, looking good. Mombasa Road looking good, but as you head over near Capital Center is where we are seeing some slight traffic snarl up near the capital center heading over towards the CBD, but there is a sudden break. Of course, it opens up, locks down, then opens up again as you head over towards the roundabout that connects Mombasa Road to Langata Road. You can see this is the particular roundabout where we are having some slight traffic snarl up along this particular area there. All right? So that is where we are seeing some traffic snarl up heading over towards town, moving. You see this particular red color? It means there's a lot of traffic on this particular red color here. And as it turns into green, back to red again, means traffic is building up. Now this is the Bunyala Uhuru Highway roundabout. Traffic there. So this is how the roads look like. Bunyala Road heading over to Mombasa Road. Slight traffic is being experienced on that particular area. Moving on, it opens up towards the CBD. This is Uhuru Highway now. All right? All the way towards the Haile Selassie roundabout, where we're seeing a lot of traffic in this area, a lot of traffic coming all the way from Haile Selassie to Mombasa Road and getting all the way from that roundabout heading over to the CBD. Traffic all around this region. It means things are back to normal. So that is Haile Selassie roundabout, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, you can see lots of traffic. If you see a red line here, it means there is a lot of traffic. Moving on. Now let me head over to Jogoo Road. Jogoo Road, we're seeing a lot of traffic here because this is the roundabout that connects Jogoo Road to Lusaka Road. This particular roundabout here. A lot of traffic coming from Lusaka Road to the roundabout and from Jogoo Road to the roundabout. Also traffic. And from that roundabout to Ladis Road, also a lot of traffic there. So this is how our roads look like this morning, in this particular Tuesday morning. And where we had a lot of protests taking place, demos taking place, that's easily, I'm seeing a lot of, it's free. Let me head over to Juja Road, where we experienced demos yesterday. Juja Road. So this is Juja Road coming all the way. I'm seeing a lot of traffic build up along Juja Road. Someone tell me if you are, if you stay in that area, how is the air? This is Juja Road. Lots and lots of traffic. So it's a wrap on this particular area on traffic updates right here. Remember, keep tweeting. The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya, and at KBC Channel 1 is the official station handle. At Ray Manyara, my colleague's handle, my handle is at Ram Aguko. And of course, we are moving back to our newspapers this morning. Let's take a look at what is making headlines in our dailies this morning. With me, I have a copy of the People Daily and the Daily Nation. Of course, Reggie, you are with the Star newspaper. Maybe you can pick it up from your end first.
Okay, let's look at some of the details in regard to the stories that we had highlighted for you. Thank you very much for that particular traffic updates. For those who have been asking, is it safe to go back to work? Is it safe to take our children back to school? As you can see, the Central Business District is slowly resuming normalcy, a little bit with a lot of caution after yesterday's chaotic scenes there, running battles between security and protesters. But we can affirm and we can confirm that at around 7:30 this morning, businesses are open. Matatus, or rather PSVs, are accessing their various park bays, so to speak, and Kenyans are going about their duties, and we expect to be doing a spot check in the course of the day to also ascertain, if children are going back to school. They have been away on mid-term. So there's really, in as far as news here, all is looking back at the ripple effect that yesterday's demos have had on various aspects, as well as an update in regard to the continued dollar shortage that is going to affect the issue in the cost of power. As indicated yesterday at the Senate, is that Kenya Power is the second leading consumer of US dollars in the country after oil marketers, and Kenya Power stated that its loan book is estimated at 102 billion shillings, which is 85% foreign denominated, and such they cannot access enough dollars in the market. This is according to Kenya Power's Finance General Manager Stephen Vikru, as he addressed journalists in regards to the firm's short-term strategy to cope with the current global dollar supply. And if you're asking how is the shilling faring against the dollar, so far the indicated value or indicative value of the shilling to the dollar is at 130. So it means $1 attracts 130 shillings. So if you have dollars, you have an advantage, or you have an extra 129 shillings, so to speak, if you are to do it in layman comparison. But it means $1 is valued at 130 shillings, Kenya shillings, so to speak. And it has remained weak against the US dollar since Monday. And there is high demand, especially from importers. When you look at the euro here, it is trading at 138 shillings to the shilling, where the sterling pound is trading at 157 shillings. The SA rand is at 7 shillings and 8 cents. Well, we had the Chinese Wuhan is at 18 shillings. So now you know. Now you know, with also traders opining that this might actually hit the 150, 145 mark if things do not change in the global aspect. And looking at the CBK report that was made public at the end of last week, it shows that also remittances into the country that would have eased the pressure onto the availability of dollars have dipped. We'll be keeping tabs on that and what it means for business. Ram, to you.
Yes, and we are here on this other side. We are taking a look at the Daily Nation together with the People Daily. And on the front page of the Daily Nation, a very interesting picture here. And just to give you a glimpse of this, it's all about matters concerning the demos that took place yesterday. Return to chaos. All right.
Sift through the issue of the Standard this morning, moving away from matters of dollar shortage and its ripple effect. I will take you to some of the highlights, especially from the courts there. Brighton's 21-year legal battle over property. This is in a case where Richard K. Muir says he bought 173 acres of land in 2001 to build a retirement home, and in 2002 the Borop cooperative sued him, alleging that he had fraudulently acquired the land. This particular land issue, court battle, has spanned over the last 10 years, and in his defense, he said he loved everything about the land and its surrounding. The weather was perfect, and he could not wait to settle his family there. However, in October 1999, he received a letter addressed to the bank and copied to the cooperatives and requested a meeting to discuss the intended transactions. Now, he returned in Kenya in the last week of November, had a meeting. The sum was to be held in trust by Kaplan and Stratton and be released fully to the bank once I had the title. This is according to the court documents that were seen by this particular paper. However, there was a new twist and what marked the beginning of a 2-decade-long court battle. He said he realized that one Richard Soy and some of his friends were occupying about 5 acres of the land that he had bought that had been sold to him with vacant possession. In 2001, the title deed to the 173 acres was registered in the name of Dwan Farms Limited. In 2002, Boro filed a case in the High Court in Nairobi and sued Munir, alleging that he fraudulently acquired the land and sought to have the title cancelled. Now, this is a story you can follow up on. It has taken over 2 decades. So now Justice John Mutungi on July 2021 said that the suit by Borop is unsustainable and as it is statute barred, and struck it out. Now several people have since invaded part of the land and are cultivating it. And according to his lawyer, the attempts to evict the invaders have failed. Now, we'll be keeping tabs on this. Seems it's going to go on for more than the assigned, or rather, the time limit given there. We're looking at 2021. Now we're in 2022. But for now, we take a quick breather. We'll be right back.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Then we should finish what we have started. And what is it you two started? I heard that you were here, so I came by to see if I'd be lucky enough to find you.
Well, you should be very happy because you're twice as lucky, sweetheart. Because aside from her, I'm also here to surprise you.
Eventually, is it okay if I change the colors? On this wall? I don't know, a different color. I like this one very much. What do you think? Alonso, what are you doing here?
Ruben, I'm in love with you.
Dime si este sentimiento que hoy siento dentro de mí.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustler fund?
Will your children sleep hungry when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table?
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Kitwek FM Kegosin.
All right, welcome back. We still proceed with this conversation today. It's all about what is in the headlines this morning. And as before we took that break, we were taking a look at the Standard newspaper and the Star. Now let's take a look at the Daily Nation. Before I mentioned it here, I was highlighting the story, the top page, the front page of the people of the Daily Nation, the splash there, return to chaos. That is the splash on this particular paper on the Daily Nation. My government will not condone impunity, Ruto warns protesters. My government will not condone impunity, Ruto warns protesters. And you can see here images that to some are images that we thought were long gone. In scenes last witnessed in 2018 during demonstrations over the results of the general election, protesters and police yesterday engaged in running battles in Nairobi, Kisumu, Migori, Nakuru, Kakamega, and Kitale in response to a call for mass action by Azimio leader Raila Odinga. Now, the opposition leader, who braved tear gas and water cannons as he addressed crowds in the parts of the city, announced that the protests over the high cost of living, composition of the Electoral Commission, and an alleged stolen victory would take place every week. That is, every Monday of every week, even as President William Ruto warns that nobody was above the law. Yesterday, remember, he spoke at State House as the protests were taking place. Remember, on the front page still of this particular paper, we have an image of Right Honorable Raila Odinga, who is quoted saying that we shall continue with our protests every Monday and will not end today, but will go on until Kenyans get their rights. That is what he said yesterday, Raila Amolo Odinga, being quoted on this particular paper. Now, I want us to move to the inserts of this particular story here, because there's so many interesting pictures of this event that took place yesterday. And let me just give you a sneak peek of these particular of these pictures that were taken yesterday. All right, you can see on your screen there interesting images there. Tales of two Kenyas. Chaos in some parts as calm reigned in other parts of the country. And I can see a police officer who lobbed the tear gas canister at demonstrators at Wabera Street yesterday. Very interesting picture, well captured by our journalists. And so many stories being told here. Bonfires were lit yesterday, fires were lit. And in a very sad turn of events, many shops were looted yesterday. Is that what we expected? I guess many of us expected that to be the turn of events. Was it a peaceful demonstration as it was alleged earlier? Many of us stayed at home. And I'm glad that those who stayed at home were safe. But on the fourth page of the Daily Nation, as Raila shuts down city, Ruto stares him down. As Raila shuts down city, Ruto stares him down. Now, in this particular story, it's written there, Raila Odinga holed up in a city hotel for the better part of the day yesterday. Emerged later in the day, to the raucous chaos of tear gas and water cannons. Now, in the battle for the soul of the nation, two political heavyweights are once again staring each other down. One has access to the state instruments of violence. The other believes his power rests with the masses. Now, the question is, according to this particular paper there, who will blink first? Who will blink first? Raila Odinga wore a beige combat suit, a fearsome grimace and a contortion that exaggerated the two wrinkles between his eyes. I'm seeing a picture of him and the attire that he wore yesterday. He appeared angry and edgy in the 1 or so minute between the moments he emerged from his room at the Serena Hotel in Nairobi and moments where he was sent scampering into his car after police officers fired a tear gas canister towards him and his entourage. That is pictured there on the particular newspaper, on these newspaper, the Daily Nation. Mr. Ondiga had given the president an ultimatum to lower the cost of living and open the election servers for scrutiny yesterday. But a cheap unga was the dominant call among the protesters. That is on that particular story there. Moving on to what took place in State House. Ruto said that we will not condone impunity. That is on this particular page there, page 5 of this particular paper. Ruto says we will not condone impunity. Let me get a better grab of this particular page so that you can get a good glimpse of it. Ruto, we will not condone impunity. And we're seeing there a picture of the president together with the Solicitor General Shadrach Mose, who was sworn in yesterday at State House. President William Ruto yesterday said his government would not condone impunity, even as his deputy, Rigathi Gachagua, claimed that the protests that took place yesterday costed the economy 2 billion Kenya shillings in Nairobi City County alone. 2 billion Kenya shillings in Nairobi City County alone. And I'm seeing there grievances being aired. The president says those who are aggravated should use constitutional means to address their concerns. And that's what I would like to ask you, fellow Kenyans, from wherever you're watching us from. Do you feel like the protests have borne any fruits? Do you feel like these protests will bear any fruits if they were to take place every Monday? Are the grievances that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, together with the Azimio la Umoja Kenya Azimio la Umoja team, is coming up with? They're saying that they have cost of living, the price of unga that needs to go down. Will these particular grievances be addressed? DP Gachagua tells Azimio leaders to call off the demonstrations since they were hurting the economy. Those are questions that I'm asking you today. Talk to me. The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya. Chaos in Nairobi, Kisumu in days of tear gas and beatings. Remember, we're taking a look at what happened yesterday. Chaos in Nairobi, Kisumu in day of tear gas and beatings. And this is an interesting picture here that I want to show you, because in this particular picture, it's all white. Reason being, it is tear gas. Look at that. And if you look at this area, all this is white. Why? Because this is all tear gas. Tear gas being thrown towards protesters. That is what took place yesterday. At least 2 people were reported to have been shot yesterday during the demonstrations by the opposition that were marked by running battles with the police, tear gas and beatings. And you see, Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Coalition Party leader Raila Odinga declared weekly protests every Monday to pile pressure on President William Ruto to heed to their demands. Is this the way to go? Is this the way to go? Let's engage. Is this the way to go? Now, moving on to still the next page here. Remember, most of this particular paper is all about the riots, the Azimio protests that took place yesterday. Let's take a look at what happened. Businesses and counties' revenue hit by demos. Businesses and counties' revenue hit by demos. The economy took a hard hit yesterday as hundreds of businesses shut down, mainly in the capital city here in Nairobi, Kenya, and Kisumu, following demonstrations called by the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga. This is in the headlines today. Both large and small businesses counted losses yesterday as the demonstrators stopped operations, but the Nairobi Securities Exchange painted a different picture after investor wealth rose by, get this, 56 billion Kenya shillings yesterday compared to Friday, buoyed by gains on the Safaricom share price. In numbers, let's talk about numbers, because as we all say, and we all know, numbers don't lie. 5.3 million Kenya shillings. What is that? That is what Nairobi County collects in parking fee daily. 5.3 million Kenya shillings. That is what Nairobi County collects in parking fees every day. Now, the revenue accounts for about 30% of the city's own source revenue. Now, 56 billion shillings. That is the amount by which investors' wealth rose at the Nairobi Securities Exchange yesterday, defying the day-long protests that took place yesterday. Now, 2 billion shillings, 2 billion Kenya shillings. That is what the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua claimed the city's economy lost yesterday during the protests. Now, looking at the numbers, if every day, according to these numbers, as Nairobi County, we collect 5.3 million Kenya shillings in terms of parking fee, how much did we lose yesterday? Talk to me. Are we progressive? And are these demonstrations going to bear fruits? A conversation that many Kenyans debate on. But the numbers still are a cause of concern. That is what is taking place in our daily. Now, moving on to the next particular page there in regards to this particular paper, I'm seeing it's all about the caricature that has been painted by this particular paper. And let me show you this particular caricature so that you can be able to analyze or interpret it in your own way. Now, in this particular caricature here, I don't know if you can be able to see it on this side. It's all white on the screen. But I'm seeing next Monday, we have Raila Odinga there saying next week Monday, same time. That is on the caricature. Next week Monday, same time. The question is, Kenyans, will you turn out again? Or have we learned something that will make us either to turn out in numbers or not to turn out in numbers? Well, that is a question that I would like you to answer me using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya. My handle at Magugu. Now, let me move to the People Daily here. The People Daily. Raila unbowed. Interesting splash. Raila unbowed. That is the splash on the People Daily. The day of high drama was yesterday. Azimio leader takes the city by storm, promises to hold weekly protests until government bows to his demands as President William Ruto plays a hard ball. That story of yesterday's protest has been covered on this particular People Daily here. Page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 12. Remember, on the Daily Nation, stories of yesterday's protest took place. Page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10. It means this is a very big issue here in the country, here in Kenya. So from wherever you're watching us from, know that as a country, the conversation is all about what took place yesterday and the ripple effects it will have. Now, speaking of ripple effects, on the front page of the People Daily, at the top here, we have schools hurt by teacher transfers. Schools hurt by teacher transfers. That is what is at the top of this page. Reversal of TSC's delocalization policy has resulted in mass exodus of head teachers, leaving institutions countrywide in the hands of deputies and senior teachers as beneficiaries return to their home counties. We'll be taking a look at that particular story here. And the reason why I'm highlighting that particular story is because yesterday, many parents, I don't know if you're one of them, many parents had to take their children from school. They had to pick their children from school. Remember, children returned to school after their midterm break. And because of the protests, some had to take their kids back home. Let me move into this particular paper here, but still not forgetting to highlight what the president said, highlighted on the front page of the People Daily here. I will ensure, and I quote the president, I will ensure as president that this country is governed by the rule of law and nothing extra legal, extra constitutional, and nothing outside the constitution is going to be part of us. That is what is on the particular paper here. And to wrap it up, I'm looking at, I'm seeing time is not on our side here, but the second page of this particular paper here, day of drama as Raila announces weekly protests, pictures of demonstrators being arrested, and a police officer who was firing tear gas canister to disperse protesters yesterday in Nairobi. A day of fire, battles here. Look at this, battles here, day of fire. Battles took place yesterday between protesters and police, running battles. Leaders demand release of arrested colleagues also. The leaders demand the release of arrested colleagues. Here we're looking at Azimio la Umoja. Yesterday, those leaders condemned police brutality in the demonstrations and called for immediate release of opposition members of parliament who were arrested during the protests. And according to Raila Odinga, he blamed the police for disturbing the peace yesterday. The leaders accused police of causing mayhem and using force while dealing with protesters and demonstrators. Led by Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, they charged that they will intensify the protests to at least 2 times a week. 2 times a week until the issues are addressed. The question is, will the issues be addressed? Well, it is on that note that we bring a close to the headlines. Interesting papers here today on this particular page here. Raila unbowed, return of chaos. Something that we need to be talking about. The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya at Magugu, which is my handle, and the official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. Will the protests that took place yesterday bear fruits? Will they receive what they demand? My name is Magugu. Let's take a short break, but we'll be back with more right here on Good Morning Kenya. Remember, we have a live conversation, a live interview that is taking place at Radio Taifa. That is KBC Radio Taifa, where we expect to have Honorable Steve Mogaka, the Member of Parliament of West Mugirango, together with the Honorable Engineer Kiragu Chege, the Member of Parliament of Limuru, and Patrick Muinde, political analyst and governance expert, being hosted by our very own Dora Manya on the other side of KBC Radio Taifa. Let's take that break. We'll be back. This is Good Morning Kenya.
dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the Hustler Fund?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Then we should finish what we have started. And what is it you two started? I heard that you were here, so I came by to see if I'd be lucky enough to find you.
Well, you should be very happy because you're twice as lucky, sweetheart. Because aside from her, I'm also here to surprise you.
Eventually, is it okay if I change the colors? On this wall, I don't know, a different color. I like this one very much. What do you think? Alonso, what are you doing here?
Ruben, I'm in love with you.
Dime si este sentimiento que hoy siento dentro de mí.
Yakadambea werarkan.
Mimi sijui. Nimesikia tu fununu kwamba hii Seldigan by usiku haitakuwepo.
Sikiza. Na nikamdosia nikasirika kwa vita vitumkaza mguu kidogo, sawa?
Ibuchi kamera za border crossing point zote sahi.
Ati?
Kamera za border crossing point zote sahi.
Tumechezwa.
Roll out! Move! Huyu jamaa unaona kiwa credible kweli?
Tuta find out soon.
Shukran zaidi mpenzi msikilizaji wa KBC Radio Taifa na vilevile mtazamaji wa KBC Channel 1, stesheni ambayo inaongoza hapa nchini. Tunakuletea uketo wa mambo jinsi yalivyo. Na hii leo katika gumzo pevu tulivyokuwa tumekuahidi kila siku ya Jumanne tunaangazia masuala yalivyo hapa nchini Kenya. Na tunakukaribisha basi ukazungumze nasi kufuatia mtandao wetu wa kijamii @Radio Taifa FM, @Doramanya, @Captain Joroge 1, #Zinga, #GMK na vile @KBC Channel 1. Manake majadiliano haya na kuja moja kwa moja kupitia KBC Channel 1 na vile kupitia KBC Radio Taifa, sauti ya Mkenya. Mimi naitwa Dora Manya na basi hii leo na wageni hapa studioni ambao tunakwenda kuweka mambo wazi kuhusiana na hali ilivyo hapa nchini Kenya. Na tukianza na hiyo jana tarehe 20 Machi ambako Kenya ilikuwa katika hali ya mshike na shughuli ziliweza kusimama sehemu nyingi za humu nchini kufuatia maandamano yaliyoandaliwa na mrengo wa Azimio kiongozwa na kinara wao Raila Odinga. Naibu Rais Rigathi Gachagua hata hivyo tayari amedai kwamba Kenya ilipoteza shilingi bilioni 2 hiyo jana kutokana na hayo maandamano. Katiba inaruhusu hapa nchini kwamba ikiwa Kenya hawajaridhika na masuala kadhaa wanaruhusiwa kuandamana. Lile ambalo haliruhusiwi ni kuharibu mali au kuzua fujo ambazo zinaweza kusababisha vifo. Na kwa hivyo la muhimu hata hivyo tunasema kwamba Azimio inasema kuna swala ama masuala kadhaa ambayo yanafaa kuangaziwa na serikali ya Kenya Kwanza, kama vile kudorora kwa uchumi, na pili, madai kuwa matokeo ya urais katika uchaguzi wa mwaka jana hayakuwa halali. Na hii leo basi tunaangazia haya na mengine mengi katika taifa hili, haswa masuala ya uongozi na uchumi. Na nao wageni hapa studioni, wa kwanza kabisa ni mbunge wa West Mugirango, kaunti ya Nyamira, Mheshimiwa Steve Mogaka, na vile vile niko na mgeni kutoka eneo bunge la Limuru ambaye ni mbunge wa Limuru, Mheshimiwa Mhandisi Kiragu Shege, na tuna mchanganuzi wa masuala ya kisiasa na mtaalamu wa masuala ya uongozi hapa nchini, Patrick Mwinde. Wote wako hapa kuweka wazi ama kuweka bayana masuala ambayo tunakwenda kuzungumzia asubuhi ya leo. Karibuni sana wageni wetu hapa studioni, na asante pia mheshimiwa kuweza kufika kwa sasa. Tulikuwa tunakusubiri. Asante. Na nafikiri tutaanza na mheshimiwa kutoka West Mugirango, Mheshimiwa Steve Mogaka, mbunge wa West Mugirango. Ulifika mapema. Wewe ni wa chama cha Jubilee. Chama cha Jubilee katika siku za hivi karibuni tumeona wakionyesha nia ya kufanya kazi na serikali. Tukianza na wewe, maandamano ambayo tulishuhudia hapa nchini hiyo jana, wewe binafsi na pia kama chama, ni maandamano ambayo mlikuwa mnaunga mkono ama mna hisia tofauti?
Sisi kama wabunge waliochaguliwa kwa chama cha Jubilee, tumeamua tutahamasisha support yetu kwa serikali kwa miradi ambayo wanafanya, na sisi hatutambui kuwa maandamano ni jinsi ya kuleta suluhu katika nchi ya Kenya. Ndiyo, kuna changamoto zinazokabidhi nchi ya Kenya, na suluhu iliyoko ni engage na wale ambao wako mamlakani, tutafute jinsi ya kunusuru uchumi wetu uliokuwa umedorora. Na kwa hivyo mimi kama mbunge wa West Mugirango ambayo nilichaguliwa kwa chama cha Jubilee, walionichagua wamesema nifanye kazi na serikali iliyoko, na nimeitikia mwito, na ndio samahani, jana hiyo maandamano ikiwa ili coincide wakati tulikuwa na swearing in na wa Solicitor General wa nchi ya Kenya, ambaye ni kutoka kaunti yangu ya Nyamira. Kwa hivyo hata kama ningekuwa na support hiyo maandamano, kwa sababu kulikuwa na jukumu la muhimu la taifa letu la Kenya, kuweka katika ofisi Solicitor General mpya ambaye atashauri serikali vile ya kuendesha nchi ya Kenya. Singekuwa na busara kama ningeenda kushabikia ama kusupport maandamano, lakini natumai kukuwa na majeraha wala mauaji, kwa sababu kama kulikuwa, basi hiyo maandamano imekiuka ile uhuru tumejipea katika katiba ya Kenya ya kuandamana. Kuandamana, picketing, ni kukongamana kwa njia ya amani na kutoa malalama zako bila kuinterfere na mtu yoyote ambaye ako biashara zake ama shughuli zake. Nikiangalia vile maandamano yalifanywa katika nchi ya South Africa, hiyo ndio maandamano inayotambuliwa katika katiba yetu ya Kenya. Hii yenye sarakasi, drama, uharibifu wa mali, hiyo si maandamano, ni kinyume cha uhuru uliopeanwa na serikali aradha na katiba yetu ya Kenya, na serikali ilikuwa inatakiwa kukabiliana na wale ambao kwa kupretend kuwa wanaandamana ili hali wanajihusisha na uhalifu.
Asante. Mheshimiwa Kiragu, karibu sana. Wewe ni mbunge wa chama cha UDA. Maandamano ambayo yalifanywa jana, kwa tathmini yako ilikuwa lazima tufike hapo? Manake serikali haiko labda na njia mbadala ya kuweza kuketi chini na kuzungumza kusuluhisha masuala ambayo tuliona siku ya jana, mambo mengine mbalimbali. Lazima tungefika mahali tulifika jana.
Kwanza wacha nishukuru kwa kunipatia wakati huu, na kwanza kumshukuru Mungu kwa vile nimeona mvua imenyesha sana leo, na kwa hivyo kama nchi tumeomba sana na tunashukuru mvua imekuja, na tumekuwa na changamoto sana juu ya uchumi, na tukiona mvua tunajua tuko na wakati wa kupanda, kulima na kuweza kujipatia chakula. Ya mambo ya jana tunajua sio ya jana tu, imeanza hapo kitambo. Tulisikia watu wakisema kuna whistleblower amelisema ati uchaguzi uliimbiwa, hatukupatiwa jina, ama yeye ni nani, ama ni wasura gani, ama ni wa nchi hii ama ile. Tumeona watu wakitutisha kama serikali ya UDA ama Kenya Kwanza, watastorm State House. Kwa hivyo mambo ya maandamano ya jana ni mambo ya mpango wa kuchafua nchi hii, na ni mambo ya kuhusunisha sana, kwa sababu tunajua maandamano kama ile tuliona ni ya kuharibu uchumi. Kama wale watu hawakuwa na kazi jana, sijui kama baada ya maandamano watapata kazi. Tulikuwa na watu labda hawakuwa wako na chakula jana. Maandamano haikuleta chakula. Ile tunahitaji kama nchi ni mambo ya kuongea, ni vipi tunaweza kujitoa kwa ile shida tuko nazo. Tuko na shida za unemployment ya youth, njia ya kuwapatia kazi sio wa kuambia wafuate wa kinara fulani ndio waonekane wako kazi. Ile tunajua kama wazazi wengi jana walikuwa wanapeleka watoto wao shule, wale walikuwa wanaongoza maandamano jana, watoto wao wako sawa.
Napenda ulivyosema kwamba kile ambacho tunahitaji ni kuzungumza. Muungano wa Azimio ulipeana makataa ya siku 14, wakapeana matakwa yao, moja yazo ikiwa ni kupunguzwa kwa gharama ya maisha hapa nchini. Na katika siku zile 14 hatukusikia kama kulikuwa labda na mjadala wowote kuhusiana na matakwa ambayo waliwasilisha,
kwa sababu watu hawataki tuongee yale kabisa ya ukweli ya shida zetu za Kenya. Kusema mambo ya kupunguza unga tuseme, ni lazima hata kama wewe ni wa opposition, wewe ni mtu wa nchi hii, wewe ungefanya vipi kama ni mtu wa Azimio? Uko na jawabu ya hiyo shida, ama ni kusema serikali ni lazima ipunguze? Tunajua kama sisi hii serikali kama ni mambo ya kupunguza, watu wanataka tuende tukope kama vile tulikuwa tumezoea. Tukope leo, tukope kesho, tunaelekea wapi? Ile kitu ya muhimu, na ndio mimi nilikuwa nafikiri watakuwa wana suggest. Tumekuwa bunge, kulikuwa mijadala ya bunge, tulikuwa mambo ya budget, sikusikia wakisema hapa hamujaweka fertilizer ya kutosha, hapa hamujaweka matingatinga ya kulima, kwa sababu sisi ni lazima tujiokoe kwa hii shida ya chakula tuseme. Tena sisi sio watu wa kukula tu ugali. Sikusikia kwa hii mazungumzo watu wakisema bei ya sukuma wiki, bei ya vile vitu vingine, viazi iende chini. Sisi hatuwezi kuwa watu wamefunga mikono juu ya unga. Ni kama nchi hii hatuwezi kuendelea unless sasa tunashikilia mambo ya unga. Mimi ningetaka kama ni watu wa Azimio, tafadhali, kama unataka mjadala ama nini mazungumzo, wewe weka hiyo formula hapa na si tuweke yetu hapa, alafu si tuongee kama Wakenya, tuone ni gani ambao inaweza kutusaidia.
Tutarejea hapo baadaye kwa mazungumzo, tujue shida imekuwa wapi. Tuone hapa tu akisema tuzungumze, anasema tuzungumze, nani wa kuanzisha haya mazungumzo, maana hatujayaona. Labda kidogo nije kwako bwana Patrick, wewe ni mchanganuzi wa masuala ya kisiasa na vile vile masuala ya uchumi. Tathmini yako, muungano wa Azimio umekuwa ukilalama kwamba uchumi umezidi kudorora na wanataka pia sava zifunguliwe, na Na kando na masuala ya uchumi kudorora, tungependa kujua kwa tathmini yako, maana ukiangalia dola nafikiri juma hili limekuwa ikinunuliwa kwa takriban shilingi 130. Nazungumzia uchumi kudorora na vile vile shilingi ya Kenya. Bei ya bidhaa vile vile tunaona kwamba imeenda juu sana. Na ushuru pia umezidi kuongezeka. Tathmini yako kama mwana uchumi, unasemaje? Je, serikali iko wapi katika haya, na kama imefanya la kutosha kuhakikisha kwamba angalau wanampunguzia Mkenya gharama ya maisha?
Kwanza nashukuru kwa kunipatia nafasi na kushukuru wasikilizaji. Kwangu maandamano ya jana ni swala la kisiasa. Nafikiri ili kuleta uchumi ndani ni kisingizio tu. Tukiangalia vile maandamano yalikuwa yakifanywa jana na yale maswali nyeti wanaweka kwa serikali, ni kutafuta njia ya kuongea kisiasa, lakini si kwa mwananchi. Mimi nikiangalia mwananchi ayuko hapo katikati, na sidhani kana kwamba wanaazimio wanaandamana kwa nihaba ya mwananchi wa kawaida. Lakini tukiangalia nyuma, hii swala la gharama ya maisha imekuwa hata wakati wa uchaguzi. Nafikiri kwanza ndio ilimwezesha rais wa saisi kuweza kupata umaarufu zaidi na watu wa chini, kwa sababu kinara wa Azimio Raila alikuwa na upande wa serikali, na kabla ya kura kupikwa watu walikuwa wanasema wao wasikizi kwa sababu bei ya vitu ilikuwa juu. Na tukiangalia kinara wa Azimio Raila ndiye alikuwa anatetea mambo ya serikali, wananchi wakisema punguzeni gharama ya maisha, yeye ndiye alikuwa anatetea serikali. Walikuja kuleta zile subsidies wakati wa mwisho ili kupata kura pengine. Kwa hivyo wakiongea kana kwamba wanazungumzia mambo ya chakula na bei ya chakula, hiyo si kweli kabisa. Wanatumia hiyo kama kisingizio tu ya kueneza mambo ya kisiasa. Lakini kwa serikali pengine wameweza kuachilia kidogo. Wakati waliomba kura walisema tukiweka Biblia chini hivi tutapunguza gharama ya vitu. Ijapokuwa kulikuwa na hizo subsidies, na pengine saizi tumeona ni pengine zilitumiwa vibaya wakati wa siasa. Pengine haikuwa mwafaka kutoa subsidies mara moja. Wangetafuta njia ya ile kwa kimombo tunaita standard. Watafute njia ya kuzuia mwananchi wa kawaida wakitafuta suluhisho ya wakati mrefu. Kama ukiangalia mambo ya fertilizer ni si ya kwa muda huu, inakuja baadaye. Faida ya fertilizer subsidy inakuja baadaye, lakini sasa hizi lazima watu wakule. Kwa hivyo hiyo ndio wameachilia hiyo nafasi wa kuwapatia njia ya kuingia, ama ile kwa kimombo tunaita entry ya kisiasa. Kwa hivyo pengine Kenya Kwanza na rais anafaa kusikiza wananchi sana. Ukiangalia swali lingine kama hii ya kasi ya Chief Administrative Secretaries, rais alisema alikuwa anataka pengine 23-27, ameweza kupata 50. Na wananchi wanasema unaweka gharama, unatuambia tuikase mkanda, lakini bado unafungua ile gharama ya serikali. Kwa hivyo pengine hizi ni vitu wanaazimio wameanza kutumia kupata ile ubambe wao wa siasa.
Kwa hivyo umesema kwamba ilikuwa siasa, si kutetea mwananchi wa kawaida.
Lazima tuangalie nyuma. Unajua kwa English tunasema unaangalia trends. Tukiangalia kutoka mwaka wa 2007, mwaka wa 2013, mwaka wa 2017, tukiangalia kiongozi wa Raila amekuwa akitumia wananchi na maandamano kama njia ya kujitafutia umaarufu fulani kisiasa. Na tukiangalia wakati uchaguzi wa 22 ulifanyika, na njia zote za katiba zilitumika, na kukakuwa kuna rais ameteuliwa. Kwa hivyo ikakuwa ni kama kwamba sasa wameingia kwa ile tunaita political coldness, na hakukuwa na kitu ya kuwaweka relevant. Kwa hivyo hii maandamano ndio imemletea sasa, hii imemtafutia njia ya kuingia siasa. Na ndio nasema wanatumia wananchi, wanatumia mambo yale yanahusu mwananchi, lakini wanajitafutia umaarufu. Tukiangalia utapata hizo miaka yote, na hiyo baada ya kila election kiongozi wa Azimio Raila Odinga amekuwa akitumia maandamano kujitafutia faida fulani za kisiasa na pengine za kikazi, na akipata anaacha watu wake kabisa. Kwa hivyo lazima tuangalie historia. Kwa hivyo historia haituambii kweli anapigania wananchi wa kawaida.
Unaposema kwamba anajitafutia nafasi yake kisiasa, labda Bwana Patrick kueleze vizuri. Maana kama ni masuala ya siasa, Raila amejitokeza wazi na kusema kwamba hataki masuala ya handshake. Yeye anatetea mwananchi hapa. Wakati unasema atafuta labda maslahi yake kisiasa, ina maana gani?
Ni kujipanga kwa mwaka wa 2027. Ni kujitafutia. Unajua wakati Supreme Court ilisema uchaguzi umeisha na njia za katiba zimeisha, inamaanisha lazima walikuwa wakae nje mpaka ile wakati wa kampeni tena. Lakini unajua ukiangalia siasa zetu na pengine viongozi wetu kama hawa vigongwe kama hawa wamekuwa wakitumia siasa wakati wote. Hawataki nchi ipumzike ndio tuweze kupata amani.
Tutarudi kwako baadaye.
Uchumi lazima kwanza tujenge uchumi.
Okay, hapo kwa uchumi tutarejea baadaye, lakini wacha nikuje kwako mbunge Steve Mogaka. Serikali ambayo umesema kwamba ninyi kama chama cha Jubilee mko tayari kushirikiana serikali kuhakikisha kwamba mambo yanaenda sawa. Hadi kufikia sasa, tathmini yako, serikali ya Kenya Kwanza imefanya vya kutosha kuhakikisha kwamba angalau maisha mwananchi yanakuwa yako heri miezi zaidi ya 6 baada ya kuchukua mamlaka? Tukizingatia kwamba tayari nimemuuliza dola imepanda ama gharama ya maisha, ushuru uko juu. Hebu tuambie tu moja kwa moja, serikali imefanya hili kuhakikisha kwamba maisha mwananchi yako sawa?
Ukweli wa mambo, uchumi wa nchi ya Kenya uko katika ICU. Na vile mwenzangu anasema alianza vyema, lakini akapiga kona kwenda upande mwingine. Ukweli ni kwamba nchi ya Kenya ina ufukara na cost of living imepita kiasi kile mwananchi wa kawaida hatawezana. Na hili swala ndilo lilileta mabadiliko katika serikali, na serikali ya Kenya Kwanza na Dr. William Ruto akachaguliwa kama rais. Na shida iliyoko ni kuwa akichaguliwa kama rais alikuwa na pledges na promises ya kusolve hizi vitu immediately. Na wapiga kura walikuwa na expectations kuwa wakipiga kura hivyo suluhu wataiona immediately. Na hapo ndio shida iliyoko. Na hiyo shida sasa ndio kiongozi wa ODM na take advantage. Vile serikali ya Kenya Kwanza il take advantage ya economy ikiwa imezorota, wananchi wa kawaida wakakubaliana nao, economy imezorota, na wakasema walioonekana kuwa ndio walizorotesha wafagiliwe katika uchaguzi wa 2022. Na hiyo ndio wananchi wa Kenya walienda kupiga kura kiaminifu, wakatenda. Sasa lilioko ni kiongozi wa ODM anajirepackage kutumia wembe ule kudeal na hii serikali yetu iliyoko. Na ndio nasema mimi kama kiongozi nimechaguliwa na Jubilee Party. Mimi niko honest na ninasaidia serikali kukamilisha miradi yao ama manifesto yao, lakini tufanye honestly. Mahali imegonga mwamba ni vizuri tuambiane imegonga mwamba. Tusipofanya hivyo wananchi wanaona, na ndio sababu wananchi wanaoona kuwa hatuendi vema, wakiambiwa na yoyote twende jaribu tufanye mabadiliko, wataitikia. Na ndio sababu wengi waliokuja kuandamana walikuja kuandamana na interest tofauti. Kinara wa ODM interest yake ni kuingia State House. Wengine waliokuwa wakiandamana interest yao ilikuwa gharama ya maisha. Kila mtu anakuwa na interest katika movement yoyote ambayo inakuja. Na ndio sababu nataka tuwe careful, kwa sababu wananchi wanatusikiza na hii ni runinga ya taifa, na ukweli ni kwamba wananchi wanatafuta suluhu. Na idadi ya ma-CAS ambayo wamependekezwa na ile gharama wataleta kwa taxpayer wa nchi ya Kenya, ukweli usemwe, mwananchi wa kawaida hawezi kusupport maneno kama yale, kwa sababu hii serikali imeingia ikisema kuna ufujaji wa mali katika serikali is extravagant, na ilikuwa iwe lean government ya kusave resources ili mwananchi wa kawaida aonekaniwe.
Hivyo unakosoa serikali kwa wale makatibu andamizi 50?
Hiyo idadi mimi sikubaliani nayo, na ninakuwa honest ya hiyo idadi sio sambamba na fikira za mwananchi wa kawaida, na si sambamba na zile sera ziliuzwa na Mheshimiwa William Ruto alipokuwa akikuja kutafuta kiti cha urais. Na hiyo ninawaambia mimi honestly wa rethink kuwa hiyo gharama tunawekea mwananchi wa kawaida, tofauti iko wapi na hiyo tuna condemn itakuwa kulikuwa na food subsidy hata kama hazikuonekana. Sasa afadhali hizo food subsidy hata kama hazikuonekana kuliko kurundika watu zaidi ya 50 wakilipwa.
Kwa hivyo pendekezo lako litakuwa lipi kwa serikali, japo katika kupunguza gharama ya maisha? Tayari umezungumzia wale makatibu andamizi ni wengi, labda pendekezo lako lingine ni lipi serikali ifanye?
Wage bill. Kuna wage bill ya serikali ndio imekuwa biggest problem in this country, na tulikuwa tunatumai kuwa tutapunguza that wage bill. Sasa wage bill imefika, ni kwenda kupunguza allowance ya mjumbe, ni kwenda kupunguza allowance ya civil servants, alafu then you bring 50 people ambao wanakula pesa equal to almost half of the civil service. I mean, really it doesn't make sense. Na ndio nasema mimi ni mtu niko very candid, tunasema mahali pendekezo na hatua ya serikali ni sawa, tunakubaliana, na kama si sawa it is good to be honest, kwa sababu tusipokuwa honest, hiyo ghadhabu ya wananchi itakuja kwa njia zozote, ikiwemo kitu kama hiyo maandamano tulioona jana.
Asante Bwana Kiragu, nataka chukue pumziko la kwanza, lakini kwa ufupi zaidi, kando na gharama ya maisha ambayo najua tunaweza kuzungumzia zaidi na zaidi, pia kuna matako ambayo ama lalama ambazo wanaazimia wanatoa kuhusiana na kutaka kufunguliwa kwa sava. Wanasema kama tunataka kujua ukweli ulikuwa wapi, basi zile sava zifunguliwe. Miezi zaidi ya 6 baadaye, ukiangalia mahali Kenya imefika, unaona kama itafika wakati labda rais atasema sawa, basi tuko tayari, basi mahakama waamue sava zifunguliwe?
Kwanza unaona, nataka kucheka kwa sababu haya yote yalipita. Unajua tulienda ama walienda kotini kasema waende wachunguze kule kwa ile program zile kule mambo ya elections imefanyika, wakaambiwa endeni kule kama ni sawa, mconfirm vile mnasema na vile huku mitambo inasema. Alafu ripoti ikakuja kotini ikasemekana there is no difference. Sasa hii sava, na sisi zote tulikuwa kwa uchaguzi, tunajua kama kulikuwa na uchaguzi ambao ulikuwa kabisa wawazi ni huu, kwa sababu kama ungetaka kujua kula zako ni wapi, ni pale kwa kituo, sio kule kwa sava. Na hata kule Bomas, unajua watu walikuwa na ngojea ripoti zikuje, kila mtu alikuwa anachukua result hizi. Kwa hivyo kama vile mwenzangu alisema, hii ni mambo ya siasa ya kujipanga, lakini mimi wacha niongee kidogo mambo ya vile serikali ya Kenya Kwanza imeanza kupanga miradi. Kama unaweza kubuka, wakati tulikuwa tunaenda uchaguzi, bei ya unga ilikuwa 250. Saa hii iko 170. Lile tunasema mambo ya kulete bei chini na uchumi kuwa unainuka ni mambo ya kupangwa, sio mambo ya kupiga kelele. Ni mambo watu wanatakikana kusikilizana, kupanga, kwa sababu tunajua hii mambo ya uchumi kuwa mgumu sio Kenya, Jana South Africa walikuwa napiga kelele, Nigeria walikuwako, Tunisia. Sasa huwezi kusema ati hii mambo ya dola effect za uchumi ni za Kenya. Hapana, we are looking at a global economy. Okay. And sisi kama Kenya Kwanza tumepanga. Nimesikia wenzangu wakiongea mambo ya CS 50. Tafadhali watu waangalie vile president amepanga kazi ya kuinua huu uchumi.
Sawa, tutakuja pale mheshimiwa, sasa utatuambia president amepanga vipi kazi ya kuinua huu uchumi. Baada ya pumziko hili fupi ambalo tunachukua, msikilizaji na mtazamaji wa KBC Channel 1, tunachukua pumziko fupi tupate matangazo ya kibiashara, kisha tutarejea. Iwapo na maswali, fuatilia mjadala huu kupitia mitandao yetu ya kijamii @KBC Channel 1, @Radio Taifa FM, @Dora Manya, #Zinga, #Good Morning Kenya. Tunarejea katika muda usiokuwa mrefu.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustler fund?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Abantu ba Mintombi Yamore. Your favorite Ekegusi station, Minto FM, is now at your doorstep. Enjoy the hottest Kisi music, informative and entertaining shows, and reliable news only on Minto FM. Tune in to Minto FM on 91.7 FM in Nyamira, Kisii, and its environs. Minto FM.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Then we should finish what we have started. And what is it you two started? I heard that you were here, so I came by to see if I'd be lucky enough to find you.
Well, you should be very happy because you're twice as lucky, sweetheart. Because aside from her, I'm also here to surprise you.
Eventually, is it okay if I change the colors? On this wall, I don't know, a different color. I like this one very much. What do you think? Alonso, what are you doing here?
Ruben, I'm in love with you.
Dime si este sentimiento que hoy siento dentro de mí.
Yakadambea werarkan.
Mimi sijui. Nimesikia tu fununu kwamba hii Seldigan by usiku haitakuwepo.
Sikiza. Nani kamdose mkasirika kwa vita vitumikaza mguu kidogo, sawa?
Ubuchi kamera za border crossing point zote sahi.
Ati?
Kamera za border crossing point zote sahi.
Tumechezo.
Roll! Move! Huyu jamaa unaona kiwa credible kweli?
Tuta find out soon.
Shukran sana msikilizaji wa KBC Channel 1 na vile msikilizaji wa KBC Radio Taifa na mtazamaji wa KBC Channel 1. Tunarejea katika gumzo pevu asubuhi ya leo tukiangazia nchi iko vipi na vile tukitathmini masuala ya uchumi na haswa tukizingatia maandamano ya hiyo jana ambayo yaliweza kuandaliwa na muungano wa Azimio kiongozwa na kinara Raila Odinga. Tuliona vinara wenza kama Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka na viongozi wengine. Na hapa studio na wageni ambao wanasaidia kutathmini swala hili na athari zake katika uchumi wetu wa Kenya. Niko na mbunge wa West Mugirango kutoka kaunti ya Nyamira Mheshimiwa Steve Mogaka. Vile tuna mbunge wa eneo bunge la Limuru Mheshimiwa Mhandisi Kiragu Shege, na tuna mchanganuzi wa masuala ya kisiasa na mtaalamu wa masuala ya uongozi Patrick Mwinde. Fuatilia mjadala huu tunapozidi kuendelea hapa ndani ya Radio Taifa na vile KBC Channel 1. Karibu tena wageni wangu hapa studio. Na ningependa kurudi kwake Bwana Kiragu kwa ufupi kidogo tu, utueleze zile ambazo unahisi kwamba ni suluhu ambazo serikali inafaa kupeana. Manake wananchi wanataka mambo, tunasema mambo ya haraka, mambo wanasema short term kwa Kiingereza. Suluhu ni zipi kwa ufupi zaidi kabla tujaangalia swala lingine, ili kwamba mwananchi anapoketi pale ana imani na serikali ulivyosema kwamba serikali inafanya kazi?
Kwanza ningetaka kusema kama nchi ile njia tu tunaweza kuhakikisha tunaleta jawabu haraka ya uchumi. Kwanza ni kujua ni nini kabisa shida yetu. Shida yetu ni cost of production. Sisi kama wa Kenya, cost ya kulima tuseme kama vile sugar production ama mambo ya maize ama vile tunafanya kazi ama vile vitu tunatengeneza hapa iko juu. Kwa hivyo ni lazima sisi, na ndio serikali inafanya, ni kuchunguza ni yapi tunaweza kuyafanya ndio cost of production iende chini. Tumeona kwanza ni lazima to increase production kwa pande wa agriculture, na ndio unaona tulilete mambo ya fertilizer kwa sababu kwa acreage ni lazima tuinue productivity. Hiyo itatusaidia kama wananchi. Lile lingine, sisi hatuwezi kutegemea vitu ya kutoka nje. Tunatafuta vile watu wanaweza kuleta rasilimali zao hapa ndio tuwe tunatengeneza vitu sana zile zinatoka nje, kwa sababu kuleta vitu kutoka nje tunahitaji dollars. Yeah? Kama sasa kuna shortage ya dola ni nini? Ni kwa sababu sisi ni watu wa kuleta. Sasa ile maneno mengine ya taxation tukasema ni lazima watu wote walipe kodi. Sasa hatuwezi kuwa tina grupu kidogo ambao inalipa kodi lakini watu wengine wengi hawalipi. Tena wale wako na mali nyingi. Unaona mtu wako na mambo kubwa nini, biashara kubwa, lakini ukiangalia ile analipa kwa kodi ni kidogo. Tukasema ni lazima, kwa sababu ni lazima tuangalie wananchi wote. Ni lazima na hiyo kodi bracket iwe imepanuliwa. Lile lingine ni mambo ya shule, mambo ya teknoloji, ni lazima tuyaangalie. Ni vipi sisi kama Kenya tunaweza kufanya vitu na kuleta teknoloji mpya ndio sisi tunaweza compete na wale wengine. Yeah? Sasa kama ni mambo ya tourism ni lazima tuwe watu wanaleta watu hapa, lakini kuleta watu hapa ni lazima na sisi tuko na nchi ambao watu wanaona iko na amani. Kama mambo ya jana, kama kuna mtu angekuwa amepanga kuja Kenya, ni lazima waseme bwana, hii sasa wamesema kila Monday. Mimi nilikuwa nafikiri nitafika Nairobi Sunday, sasa Monday siwezi hata kwenda kule kuona wanyama, vitu kama hiyo. Kwa hivyo ni lazima mambo hii yote inategemea ni vipi sisi tunapanga kama wa Kenya kuhakikisha image yetu na ile ingine ya wale wengine nje wanatuona namna gani, na ndio sisi tuwafuate ile maneno ambao tunajua kabisa italete serious and achievable target kulingana na vile mambo inatakikana ya uchumi.
Okay. Nikukatie pale kidogo, naona kama unataka kidogo kumkosoa.
Mimi ningesema hivi, lazima tuelewe uchumi wetu shida zake ni nini. Na ndio nilisema wakati rais alichaguliwa ni kwa sababu alikuwa anaongea yale maneno yanahusu mwananchi wa kawaida, lakini kutoka wakati alipata kiti ni kama alisahau hayo mambo. Kitu moja wamekuwa wakiongelea sana ni kodi. na kodi ndio shida kubwa sana kwa hiyo anaita production. Ukiangalia gharama ya mafuta hii petroleum products, na ukiangalia gharama ya energy, electricity bill, utapata kodi hapo ni karibu 50 kwa 100. Na tunataka kuleta wawekezaji nchini, utawaleta vipi kama gharama ya production iko very high? Na hiyo wakati waliingia walisema subsidy ni mbaya, lakini hakuna nchi inafanya subsidy kwa sababu wanataka. Ni ile kwa kimombo tunaita necessary evil, ndio itusaidie kwa wakati huu. Kwa hivyo mimi ningesema, na pengine wakati walikuwa na kampeni waliongelea hiyo mambo, walisema wanataka tax reform. Hii tax reform mwanzo ni kuangalia zile kodi tumewekeza katika bei muhimu kwa mwananchi wa kawaida. Hauwezi ukasema unataka kuleta gharama chini ya vyombo na mafuta hauyadhibiti, gharama ya electricity huyadhibiti. Jambo ingine, wakati tunasema uchumi wetu ile kwa kimombo tunaita structure ni mbaya, ukiangalia takwimu zile tuko nazo, ile tunaita formal sector ni 17 kwa 100, 83 kwa 100 ni ile tunaita informal. Sasa kwa mambo ya uchumi, hii tunaita informal, hawa ni watu ujui wanafanya nini na wako wapi. Kwa hivyo wakati unatafuta kodi, ni ngumu sana kupata kodi kwa hao watu. Kama sasa ukiangalia watu wale wako ile tunaita jua kali, ni wengi sana na wanafanya biashara na wanapata pesa, lakini ukienda kwa pande ya kodi hawako. Kwa hivyo ukiangalia wale watu wanalipa kodi ni wale wachache walio kwa ile formal sector. Kwa hivyo kama Kenya Kwanza wanataka kutafuta suluhu ya kuhudumu kwa mambo ya kodi, lazima tuanze kuongelea mambo ya informal sector. Hakuna nje ina informal sector, lakini informal sector yesi kakuwa ndio strategy ya serikali. Na hapo ndio kikwazo hiko, kwa sababu wao wanasema serikali yao ni hustlers. Okay. Kwa hivyo lazima tujue tutatoa hawa hustlers hapa tuwapeleke kwa ile formal side.
Naomba mheshimiwa nikupokeze hizo zangu, nipe hizi zako, acha tuweze kusonga mbele. Haya mambo huwa yanafanyika. Najua naumia, lakini nataka tusonge mbele kwa sababu muda umesonga.
Lakini kabla hatujaenda, ningetaka tu nimweleze kidogo. Sisi kama serikali ya Kenya Kwanza tumekuwa kwa serikali kwa muda mfupi sana, na vile watu wanaongea ni kama sisi tumekuwa hapo kama miaka 4. Ni mzuri watu waende waangalie ni vipi serikali imepangwa na ni vipi tumepanga mambo ya taxation, vipi tunafanya mambo ya housing, na vile tunataka kulete watu ya jua kali inet, kwa sababu tunataka wao wa contribute kwa hiyo mpango. Lakini unaona watu wakiongea ni kama wageni Kenya.
Okay. Lazima tusonge mbele na wananchi wanataka kuzungumza nanyi. Ndio, sekunde 30 tafadhali.
Ndio nataka pia kumkosoa ndugu yangu mbunge. Serikali ni going concern, na wengi wa viongozi walioko serikalini sasa hivi ni wale walikuwepo, si wageni. So na ndio sababu tukianza kudanganya wananchi ati sisi tumekuja juzi, hiyo hatusemi ukweli. Ukweli ni kwamba ndio strategy iko tofauti ya kujaribu kuleta suluhu kwa matatizo ya Kenya. Na tulipoondoa subsidy, na ni vizuri kusema tuangalie kuleta subsidized fertilizer, lakini fertilizer hiyo ni suluhu ya long term. Sasa hivi watu watakaaje? Na ndio sababu watu wanakerwa, kwa sababu watu wanataka chakula ambayo wana afford sahi. Na pia tukisema cost of living inakula wananchi, ni kwa sababu cost of production pia iko juu zaidi. Ndio mwenzangu amesema hapa, ukiona gharama ya stima, ukiona gharama ya mafuta, na ndio tunasema mbona tunalalama juu ya hii gharama, kwa sababu kulikuwa na subsidy kwa hizi, ndio sababu cost of production ilikuwa chini. Sasa tumeondoa na suluhu itatokea. That is why ndio nasema hata tukienda mbele tuseme tumeingia juzi, wacha tutoe suluhu ambao tunaona mahali tunaelekea.
Tuende pale kwa suluhu. Mheshimiwa, utaruhusu tusonge mbele kwa sababu ya muda. Tuende pale kwa suluhu. Kinara Azimio jana amesema kila Jumatatu wanapanga maandamano. Tuangalie Rais Daktari William Ruto amekuwa akisema kwamba hawako tayari kwa serikali ya masuala ya handshake. Anasema labda serikali ya nusu mkate. Raila naye anasisitiza akisema kwamba mimi sitaki handshake kwa vyovyote vile. Ninyi hapa wamesema kwamba ipo haja pia ya mazungumzo. Haya mazungumzo ni aina gani? Je, tuzungumzie sasa kwamba imefika wakati serikali kubali kwamba tuwe na handshake? Tuanze nawe.
Handshake ama bila handshake si suluhu, na nataka kukueleza kuwa vile tunazungumza kuna mjadala unaokuja bunge ya kutengeneza afisi ya kiongozi wa upinzani. So kama ni handshake, unasema handshake is not necessary kwa sababu kuna jinsi hii serikali imepanga kushughulikia leader of opposition, na wananchi wa Kenya wakikubalia itaingia. Lakini handshake ni njia ya kudismiss a serious issue. What we are saying is, hata ulete handshake sahizi, ilikuwepo wakati wa Uhuru Kenyatta, hatukupata suluhu. Ilikuwepo wakati wa Kibaki, hatukupata suluhu except silencing the noise, lakini the economy continues hurting. Ile mjadala tunataka sahi ni kuambiana, sasa Kenya tuko na madeni kiasi hii ambayo inahitaji pesa fulani tulipe. Itatoka wapi? Sisi tuelezane kinagaubaga, tujue tutafanya nini. Sasa serikali iko na ufukara. Tuko na public service employees kiasi hii, wana gharimu nchi ya Kenya pesa kiasi hii. Sasa suluhu ni gani? Tupunguze hii mzigo. Hii ndio candid conversation. Tukisema hivi, hata tuko bado na changamoto ya bunge 2/3 gender rule haijakuwa actualized. Inataka wabunge wengine waongezwe, ambao itakuwa bado ni gharama kwa mwananchi. Hiyo ndio mjadala tunataka tuulizane kama wa Kenya. What do we do?
Okay, nitarudi kwako Bwana Patrick kidogo, lakini acha nikuulize, nakuuliza kwa namna hii kwamba je, upo uwezekano kwamba labda rais yuko tayari kwa mazungumzo kama vile ameshasema kwamba as long as mazungumzo ambayo hayako nje ya katiba, yeye hana shida na mazungumzo, lakini je, upo uwezekano anataka mazungumzo ama labda huenda akataka handshake, lakini wale ambao wanamzingira, niruhusu kutumia Kiingereza, hardliners, wakamzuia kufanya vile? Maana tumeona naibu rais akisema mara si moja kwamba mimi siwezi kuruhusu haya. Kuna uwezekano kwamba labda anataka?
Kwanza ningetaka kusema kitu, ndugu yangu ameongea mambo ya fertilizer.
Kwa ufupi sana mheshimiwa, muda unatupa kisogo.
Kwa sababu alikuwa anasema ati fertilizer sio ya wakati huu. Mvua imeingia. Kama mvua imekuja, fertilizer is for now. Kwa sababu kuna vitu ni lazima upange na ufanye before even certain things happen. Now I'm saying it was a good thing to bring fertilizer so that our farmers can benefit.
Na point yangu ilikuwa fertilizer haitupei chakula chip sahihi. Itatupa mwisho wa mwaka. Watu watakula nini sahihi tukingoja hiyo fertilizer itupe.
Sawa mheshimiwa, sekunde zako 30. Sawa, umempata. Lakini
mimi yangu ni vile Kenya itajipanga, sio mambo ya kukopa na kuomba kila siku. Sasa mimi ningetaka kusema hivi, kama president wale watu wanamjua, ni mtu anasikiliza sana. Ndio alionyesha ati anaweza kwenda round the country kusikiliza wananchi vile wanasema. Hata wakati huu anasikiliza. Na ile tunasema haya majadiliano ambao anybody want to do ni lazima iwe within the Kenyan constitution and within the law. Ile tunasema kwenda kwa barabara, kupiga watu mawe, kuharibu mali za watu, hiyo sio mambo ya kujadiliana. Kwa sababu nchi hii tuko kwa shida nyingi. Na vile hapo mbeleni nilikuwa nasema, president hawezi kusema, hawezi kuongea na wewe kama unamwambia hii ndio formula yangu ya kulete uchumi yetu iinuke, ama hii ndio formula yangu ya kulete bei ya unga.
Lakini mheshimiwa, hujajibu swali langu.
Ile unasema ni mambo ya nusu mkate. Tumesema sisi kama Kenya kwanza, mambo ya nusu mkate sio mambo ya kuongelea.
Asante, nimekupata vizuri. Nataka chukue simu za wananchi tusikie wanasema vipi upande wa pili wa studio. Sekunde 30 unasemaje?
Mimi nasema hivi, hii mambo ya kusema kuongea imetumiwa vibaya. Imetumiwa kuongea mambo ya kisiasa na sio mambo ya mwenye nchi. Lazima tuangalie na tujue kama kiongozi wa Azimio ako na wambunge na kuna saizi wanatengeneza bajeti. Kama kuna mambo wanataka yasuluhishe shida za mwananchi, waweke katika bajeti. Kwa hivyo kuzungumza kwangu ni
sawa. Wacha tuende upande wa pili wa studio na mwenzangu Captain Njoroge Ng'ang'a, iwapo unanipata, tupokee simu 2-3 kutoka upande wa pili.
Asante sana Bi Dora Manya na wageni wetu. Msikilizaji, kama una swali piga simu sasa hivi kupitia 0700176699 Radio Taifa. Halo
Dora Manya.
Yes.
Habari ya jioni asubuhi.
Karibu.
Nijiona Omito huyu.
Omito, habari ya Gashie?
Gashie kuko salama kabisa.
Uliza swali lako kwa haraka.
Mimi nashangaa ndugu yangu, kuna mgeni anatetea serikali. Tuliambiwa tukiweka Biblia chini hivi unga itashuka. Sasa ikoaje sasa hivi mnaanza kutuambia ati bado mnajipanga? Mnajipanga saa ngapi? Ili watu wanaumia. Mtajipanga mpaka tena miaka 5. Ili mlituahidi nyinyi wenyewe na midomo yenu na mwakasema ati wengine wanatafuta vyoo. Sasa hivi serikali imejaza watu ambao hata tujui kazi yao ni gani. Sasa mtu kama Kidero walituambia alipora Mumias, wakamweka kwa serikali. Sasa hiyo ni kazi gani? Hawa watu wametuudi sana ndugu yangu.
Asante sana. Radio Taifa. Halo.
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 Yes, huyu ni Eli Aleko kutoka Nigeria.
Karibu.
Nauliza. Kwa nini kuna mgeni hapo studio amehepa swali la kusema kwamba deputy president hataki watu waende waongee na president na huenda president ako willing? Amekwepa hilo swali kwa nini? Na kwa sababu Raila anaongea on behalf of 6.1 million na haendi kuongea on his behalf, anaongea on behalf of those who voted for him or even more. Why can't he allow the president to talk to the opposition so that they can make a solution? Maybe he has an idea, waweke zote pamoja, manifesto zinafanana. Thank you.
Asante sana. Radio Taifa. Halo.
Hello, Dora.
Yes.
Habari asubuhi ndugu.
Tuko salama.
Salama sana, nashukuru kwa kufika hapo. Mimi naposema maandamano, wanasema ni haki inapatikana hata kwa katiba, lakini mimi sioni maandamano anaweza kumaliza shida ya njaa. Mwanzo mimi naona tunaweza kumaliza shida ni washikane na tuendelee mbele, alafu hata mvua yenyewe inyeshe, lakini si ati maandamano ndio atashukisha chakula. Uongo. Huo ni Raymond kutoka Mtaketoni.
Haya, Dora Manya, upande wako sasa.
Asante sana Captain Njoroge Ng'ang'a, upande wa pili wa studio. Nimekupata vizuri sana. Waheshimiwa wamesikia hayo na tuna kama dakika 3 za kuweza kumaliza mjadala mzima huu. Bado watu wako zile swala kwamba hamjajibu swali langu lile la rais kutaka mazungumzo, lakini tuyashikanisha hayo toka pamoja kuhusu mazungumzo. Nianze na wewe mbunge wa Steve Mogaka, nafasi labda ya viongozi wa kidini katika swala hili la kuleta uwiano na mazungumzo, wamefanya la kutosha kuhakikisha kwamba labda viongozi wanazungumza kuhakikisha kwamba tuna mwafaka isipokuwa tu maandamano?
Nashukuru. Kusema kuwa rais wa Kenya na kiongozi wa upinzani hawatazungumza kwa sababu hakuna provision katika katiba ya nusu mkate, hicho ni kisingizio, kwa sababu sasa hivi kule bunge tumeulizwa kuangalia jinsi ya kutengeneza afisi ya kiongozi wa upinzani ambayo haiko katika katiba. Kama hiyo ni jinsi ya kuleta suluhu katika nchi ya Kenya, ni njia tunastahili kufuata. Ya pili, ni kusema kuwa mkimwambia kiongozi wa upinzani aende kushughulika na maneno yake bunge inastahili idadi ya wabunge. Hana idadi ya kutosha ya kucheck serikali, na ndio sababu tunasema vile wataalamu wa uundaji wa serikali wanasema, yule Montesquieu anasema ukiwa na serikali ambayo haina waangalizi wake, hiyo serikali itapeleka nchi mrama. So jinsi tunaona ni kwamba tusikue na msimamo kalikali. Kura zimeisha na competition ilikuwa close. Hata mimi nimepigiwa kura, nimepelekwa kesi 2 kotini, watu wanalalama. Wacha tukiondoka katika kura tuachane na hiyo story, nani alikuwa wanani, tuzungumuze kama Wakenya, tuone ni jinsi gani tutapeleka nchi yetu mbele. Tuachane na hii misimamo kalikali ya kisiasa. Ndio sababu sisi kama wabunge wa Jubilee tulisema hatutaingia hiyo misimamo kalikali, tutasimama pande serikali inaleta pendekezo ambalo litasaidia nchi ya Kenya, tutaenda nao. Lakini wakileta ile inaleta kusorota kwa uchumi, nitakuwa wa kwanza kusimama na kusema hapa hatusaidii nchi yetu.
Wengi wamesema maandamano sio suluhu. Kuna mbele suluhu la kudumu ni lipi kando na maandamano ambayo tayari wanazimia wanasema watakuwa kila siku ya Jumatatu?
Ni lazima viongozi waangalie maslahi ya mwananchi. Na nimesema kama ni mazungumzo, yawe mazungumzo yale yanahusu mwananchi wa kawaida, sio ya viongozi kujitafutia.
Haya mazungumzo ndio tujue yafanyike vipi, kwa meza, kwa njia handshake. Wakati mnasema mazungumzo, msaidie mwananchi aelewe.
Katiba yetu haina pengo. Iko na utaratibu wa viongozi kukaa chini na kuongea. Na ndio ninasema tukienda kwa street ama tukienda kwa maandamano ni kama tunasema hakuna njia nyingine. Kwa hivyo kwa kimombo tunasema kama ni maandamano tuache ikue last resort. Lakini sasa hizi hakuna ile effort wamefanya. Kwa sababu wakati tunaenda maandamano kama jana, tumeharibu image ya inchi. Na tunaangalia tulikuwa tumeshabikiwa kama inchi sasa komaa kisiasa, tunaweza piga kura na tunaendelea. Hiyo tumeondoa kwa sababu ya maandamano. Ndio ninasema hii maandamano kama ni maandamano lazima ikuwe ya mwananchi wa kawaida. Na lazima serikali na upinzani wasikize mwananchi anasema nini. Na nafikiri kwa simu tumesikia. Wao wanataka suluhu kwa maisha yao. Watoto wetu waende shule, tupate chakula na tukuwe na amani.
Bwana Shege, eti wananchi wanataka suluhu. Suluhu ni lipi?
Suluhu ni kama vile mwenzangu amesema, ni watu tuongee mambo ya wananchi na wananchi sana wa kawaida. Lile mimi nimesema serikali ya Kenya Kwanza suggest ni vipi inataka kutatua shida zile ziko. Na tumesema we want to deal with productivity. Tunataka kuongeza mapato. Sasa wale wengine sijasikia wanataka kufanya nini. Na kama tunataka kuwa na mazungumzo, si ni lazima wewe unaona vipi na mimi naona vipi ndio tuongee. Lakini huwezi kuanza mazungumzo na kusema ati humtabui huyu rais wa Kenya, mtu ambaye alichaguliwa. Sasa tutaanza wapi? Unataka kustorm State House. Sasa wewe ni mtu wa mazungumzo? Lile tu mimi nasema, kama ni mambo ya kutatua mambo ya shida zetu, ni lazima watu wasuggest vipi wao wanaona. Kama vile watu wanaongea mambo ya upinzani, tuko na wabunge wengi sana bunge. Sijasikia mjadala wa kulete unga chini, wa kufanya hivi na vile. Sasa na hizi institutions they are funded by wananchi, ndio wananchi wanazitumia kwa
hivyo suluhu la mwananchi liko kwenye bunge,
liko
ni mikono ya bunge.
Walichagua watu National Assembly, wakachagua watu Senate, wakachagua magovernors, na mimi nafurahi kwa sababu hata hii maandamano tunaongea ilikuwa counties ngapi out of 47. Kwa hivyo ni lazima tujue kuna watu Kenya ambao wanaona ni vipi wanaweza kusaidia mwananchi, sio kuenda nje kupiga kelele ama kuwafanya wawe maskini kuliko vile walikuwa hapo mbeleni.
Shukrani sana. Kwa sababu ya muda nafikiri itabidi tukomee pale. Japo pale kwa mazungumzo mje niambia haswa haya mazungumzo yatafanywa vipi, yataanza wapi. Msikilizaji, kazi kwako na mtazamaji, na vile vile mbunge wa Limuru anasema ya kwamba sasa watu wawe na subira. Maana serikali imeweka mikakati kuhakikisha kwamba gharama ya maisha inashughulikiwa. Wengine wanasema hapana, tuzungumze. Haya, mjadala uendelee katika mitandao yetu ya kijamii #GMK #Zinga @Doramanya KBC Channel 1 @Radio Taifa FM. Imekuwa ni fahari. Ningependa kusema asante sana kwa kaimu mkurugenzi wa kituo hiki Bwana Samuel Maina, na vile vile mkuu wa vitengo vyote vya redio Bi Mary Daraja, Bwana Martin Kingasi ambaye anashughulikia masuala pia ambayo tunazungumzia hapa, Bilusi wa Home mtayarishi wa kipindi hiki, na vile vile Bwana Geoffrey Onditi wakishirikiana kwa pamoja kuhakikisha kwamba tumefanikisha makala haya. Na kwako wewe ambaye umetazama, nasema asante sana, na wewe ambaye umesikiliza, pasipo kusahau kamera crew yangu, shukran kwa kazi nzuri msikilizaji. Kwa hivyo tuwe na subira, gharama ya maisha itateremka. Mimi naitwa Doramanya.
settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustler fund?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
You still haven't returned the bracelet yet? I really don't understand. Why are you doing this to yourself?
It's your fault. Your fault. All your fault. And I was hesitating and wanted to give up on this. You told me to be brave. If it weren't for you, I would have given up by now and I wouldn't feel as terrible as I do now.
Did you have a fight with your boyfriend? Is someone being mean to you?
Thank you for including me and forgiving me. And thank you for helping to increase sales by implementing my ideas. We're all one team. But of course, we don't need to get everyone on board.
Stop calling him Harvey at work already. You're at work, not at your home. You're at the office, okay? At your workplace, shouldn't you show respect towards your boss? Be more careful, or your wages will be deducted. Now, repeat after me. Mr. Bai.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Then we should finish what we have started. And what is it you two started? I heard that you were here, so I came by to see if I'd be lucky enough to find you.
Well, you should be very happy because you're twice as lucky, sweetheart. Because aside from her, I'm also here to surprise you.
Eventually, is it okay if I change the colors? On this wall, I don't know, a different color. I like this one very much. What do you think? Alonso, what are you doing here?
Ruben, I'm in love with you.
Dime si este sentimiento que hoy siento dentro de mí.
Pindi tunapowasha vifaa vyetu, tunapata fursa ya kutangamana na wasikilizaji wetu.
Karibu sana thĩinĩ wa tabarĩra ya Rwiga.
Tunapeperusha utangazaji uliobobea katika habari,
nĩ ũndũ wa macio na mangĩ maingĩ,
burudani,
haha nĩ harĩa tũkoragwo tũkĩigua nyĩmbo mwaki nyĩmbo hoda
na hamasisho la kiroho. Usiachwe nyuma. Jiunge nasi kwa safari ya kufana katika 99.5 FM. Shoro FM. Shoro FM.
Thank you for sticking with us. We continue with this morning conversation. We've just had an interesting discussion by our very own Dora Manya on the other side of studio. That is KBC Radio Taifa. And that is the conversation that I'm looking at here on my smart screen. People have actually aired in their thoughts, some saying they are tuned in from different parts of the country. This is at Simon Wamukota 76 saying, from Charlie Bongo Designer Matunda Moise Bridge, Kakamega County, tuned in. Asante sana Simon. And let me just take a look at other tweets and other comments from your end. This is using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya. Remember to use that particular hashtag Good Morning Kenya as we proceed with this conversation. This is at Dunya Felix. Let me zoom in to this particular tweet here so that you can be able to see it clearly from your end. All right, that's better. This is Felix saying, it was a shame yesterday that the police are being misused to disrupt innocent Kenyans on maandamano, yet bandits are still killing innocent Kenyans. The excess police used yesterday wangepelekwa Baringo, where there is instability of peace and security. That is according to Felix. He goes on and says, Baba is a Baba man. I don't know what that means. The Kindiki police should also use the water cannons and tear gas to smoke out bandits in Baringo and Kainuk. The police were overwhelmed and misused. Once again, this regime got it wrong. Mapema ndio best. They wanted an active opposition. What has changed again? And that's quite an interesting viewpoint there. Is it all about just having an active opposition? Will we see fruits born from yesterday's Mandamano? Remember, the Azimio team said Mandamano will be there every Monday. So I'm looking forward to seeing how things will turn out. Let me go to our Facebook page. Remember, we are live streaming on our website. That's at www.kbc.co.ke. And head over to our Facebook page also and participate in this particular conversation. Let me reload that. Allow me to reload that particular page there, and so that you can be able to get that feel. Asante sana. This is on our Facebook page, because many are actually going to our Facebook page. Comment on these particular pages here. This is Musa Karisa anasema that he agrees with the conversation that we had with Dora. Anasema kabisa Bwana Ruto, niangalie hili janga, kazi hakuna, unga umepanda, mwananchi wanateseka sana. And I'm seeing Pale Amos Langat, Mohammed Atik also giving in their thoughts in regards to that. Let me move to the next part. Remember, this is a conversation by Dora Manya here that was taking place a few moments ago. Douglas Gishana anasema ask Iragu to explain to Kenyans how 50 CASs will change the economy to better, or is it just a siphoning from the poor mwananchi? Mbona wanaongeza wa Kenya mzigo kiasi hicho? Silas Rashidi anasema pale, swali je, kama Raila kama chakula kilikuwa juu, je, kwa nini hapo Ruto hakufanya maandamano? Kwa nini? All right. And of course, this is yesterday's a comment by the president where he said that we will not reward impunity. That's according to what the president said yesterday. And let me move to this. This is Malel Daudi, who is agreeing with the comment by Engineer Kiragu Chege, who said that that maandamano ya jana ni ya kuharibu uchumi na kuchafua nchi hii. He agrees with that sentiment. Anasema tunachohitaji ni kuzungumza na kutafuta njia ya kujitoa katika shida tulizo nazo. Remember, this is just a sample of what people are saying, what Kenyans are saying on our social media handles. I'm seeing Alan Naisuku. Anasema Alan Naisuku anasema na msitambue mtajua hamjui. That is what Alan anasema. People are some Kenyans are quite angry and saying that they are not happy with how the country is. Wambugu including anasema the rule of law that guarantees freedom of speech, assembly, demos, and then picketing, period. That's what he's saying, the rule of law that must be observed. This is Martinez Omumbo saying, rule of law, my foot, without electoral justice, saying that we need electoral justices. Well, these are just some of your tweets there in regards to what people are saying. Hashtag Good Morning Kenya. Keep talking with us, keep engaging with us. My handle is @Ram. Aguko. Now, let me update you in regards to what's happening on our roads. But before that, remember, joining me in studio today, I am with none other than Jen Frances Nzisa Kialo. She is a communications specialist, a professional tutor, and an expert in regards to matters communications. Karibu sana, Jen.
Thank you so much.
How are you feeling today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm looking at what Kenyans are saying in regards to what took place yesterday. We had Mandamano. Mandamano, yes, took place, but still the education sector was affected.
Yeah.
Many students did not manage to go to school. Let me just get your thoughts in regards to that first bit.
Honestly speaking, I can say it really affected the students, considering when you're running a school, you know, when students are supposed to report on Monday, probably on Tuesday they have an exam. And the syllabus has to be finished within a specific period, within that term. Yeah. But now, if they don't come to school, that means we have to push it forward. Meaning, whoever is suffering more is the student. But I am not disagreeing with the Mandamano. Of course, there's a reason for that.
You're agreeing that the Mandamano had to take place?
Yeah, I agree that Mandamano had to take place. I know you can also feel the heat yourself, yeah?
I can.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was seeing lots of looting that took place even in the wee hours of the night.
Yeah.
Some shops had to close because they were looking at, as early as 7 a.m. Some shops had to close down in some parts of Nairobi. I'm looking at Shujaa Mall.
Yeah.
There were raids that took place. I was there and I saw how police came there to help Kenyans. Was this the right way to go, surely?
I remember when the President, William Ruto, said, you know, Kenyans, open your shops, continue with your businesses, the government will protect you. Yeah. And Raila told them, you know, Prime Minister Raila Odinga, sorry, he said, close your shops, the government will not protect you. But what did you see happening? The police, if the police were not beating people up, throwing those cannons of water and whatever they were doing, do you think the effect will still be the same? Do you think these shops will be demolished and things will be wasted like we saw yesterday?
So you're saying those that were actually causing the agitation were the police and not the protesters?
Well, yeah, if you ask me.
All right, let's take a look at what's happening on our roads here, courtesy of Mathri Route. We'll be back with Jen Frances in a bit, but let's keep you updated in regards to what's happening there. I'm trying to reload that. Thank you. Now, this is on our roads here. I'm seeing a picture of traffic here. This is a picture of traffic here. And this is according to Art Tubular. Asama Kiambu Road is clear. And this was taken at around 9:14 a.m. Right now it's 15 minutes past 9. So a minute ago, this is how Kiambu Road was. A minute ago, this is how Kiambu Road was. You see traffic there. I believe this is Kiambu Road heading over, connecting to Thika Road. Based on this is that tunnel along that area. All right, so Kenyans are moving, going to work. Let me just give you that picture again now that it's on your screen and zoom in. All right. You can see that. Kiambu Road. Kenyans are going to work. When you see something like this, Jen, do you feel like this is now a good thing? Kenyans are going to work now.
Oh my God, not really.
Not really?
Not really. I mean, I am a morning person. I prefer waking up very early, getting to work, doing what I have to do, and going back and relaxing. So, yeah, makes me wonder, why would you be struggling to go to work right now?
Oh, they're late. Your views are very interesting there.
I know.
So they're late. They should not be stuck in traffic.
It's 9:15. Yes. Most Kenyans work from 8 to 5, yeah? On an 8 to 5 basis.
Okay.
So if you're going to work at 9:15, that means you're an hour, 15 minutes late. By the time you get to work, it's 10.
By the time you get to work, it's 10.
Yeah.
All right. I'm looking at the travel bag one is saying Muthaiga underpass from Kiambu Road and Thika Road service lane traffic imeshika. And this is at Biggie Charlie. Posted at around 9 a.m. there. Anasema post maandamano traffic build up around Museum Hill interchange. This is Museum Hill interchange after the Maandamano that took place yesterday. This is museum, and let me zoom in that for you. All right, you have a glimpse of that particular area there. After Maandamano, how it is this fine morning. And of course, these are just some of the updates that we have to give you today so that you can best know the routes to fly even as you are moving to work. And remember, we are broadcasting live from the broadcasting house here in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm about to move out to my other side of studio as we talk about matters concerning education with my guest this morning, Jane Francis
Nziza.
Yeah. The other one, is it
Kialo?
Is it Chalo or Kialo?
If I tell you to say to write Chalo, you'll write CH. So I prefer saying Kialo. Yeah.
But it's supposed to be Chialo, right?
You marinate them name a bit.
I love marination though. And now let's proceed with the conversation this morning. And of course, if you've just joined us, this is still Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for sticking with us. My name is Ram Magugu. We are talking about matters concerning education in the country today. I am with Jane Francis Nziza Kialo. All right. Today he is a professional tutor and communications specialist as we talk about matters concerning education in the country. So Jane, just in your opening remarks, for somebody who's meeting you today for the first time, let somebody know what you do, because I'm seeing you do, you're in the education space, international education for that matter.
Oh, so my name is Jane Francis Kialo. I'm a teacher by profession, having done a Bachelor of Education Science from Mount Kenya University. I specialize in mathematics and chemistry. I'm also a communication specialist working with the ODM party. And I'm also a student.
Yes,
at the University of Nairobi. I'm doing my master's in public administration.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
I'm also doing my master's. I hope we will graduate together.
Oh, interesting. I hope so.
I'm seeing this is received greetings. I'm seeing Peter Otuoma has sent greetings.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah. You know him, huh?
I honestly don't.
But he knows you.
Yeah.
He works together with you guys at the ODM offices. You still work?
No, I don't know him in person. That is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, in person?
Yeah, in person. We're not that close, yeah.
All right, but he still passes greetings and his regards. And you're still with ODM. I'm looking at the stand of ODM as a party and in regards to matters concerning education. Do you feel like these particular protests that took place yesterday are influencing the education sector positively, coming from the position of an expert who is in the field of education? Do you feel like it's actually progressive?
Actually, I feel like there's a disadvantage, there's an advantage of it, yeah? The reason why we had that Maandamano is because of what is happening in the country. Look at the way everything is so expensive. With even 1,000 shillings, you cannot survive, yeah? 1,000 shillings right now is close to nothing. And you cannot study on an empty stomach. That is the point. Yeah, you cannot study on an empty stomach. So the reason why we had Maandamano is, for one, to lower the cost of living for Kenyans. You see the way the electricity bills are so expensive. You buy electricity worth 500 shillings and you get electricity worth 175, meaning all that the remaining amount of money went to the tax. Yeah. So basically, the reason why we had Maandamano is to lower the cost of living and to ensure that Kenyans are not struggling as much as they're struggling right now. With the government introducing the subsidies and you know, such stuff. But now on the other side, when it comes to the education, Maandamano happened only once, or rather yesterday, and that affected the students that were going back to school.
But we are seeing an instance where it might happen every Monday. We have day scholars.
Oh yeah, we have day scholars.
Yeah, we have day scholars, and I'm looking at the aspect of the curriculum also being covered. I'm looking at the aspect of the safety of these kids, students.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your boss, Honorable Raila Odinga, has the interests of the Kenyan youths at heart, even as he promotes these particular protests? Yes, he's talking about high cost of living.
Yeah, of course he does.
He does?
Yeah. He does.
The education sector still?
Yeah. I am sure in your right senses you will not just wake up and in a day you want to spoil the life of these kids, considering you're doing mandamano every other day. Of course there's the advantage and the disadvantage of mandamano. Yeah, so that is one of the negative effects of the mandamano, but with time, of course, we will see the fruits of the mandamano.
With time?
Sure. With time, yes.
Fruits will be seen?
Definitely.
So you're positive that at the end of the day, Kenyans will smile regardless of what took place yesterday and what might take place next Monday?
If you remember last week, when Azimio wrote that letter, they were saying we are requesting to be given security on Monday because it's a public holiday and we expect the police to protect the citizens, to protect us. Yeah? And nobody was believing that. Everyone was like, you know what, Raila is just laughing, nothing like this can happen, and it really happened. And I feel like if you put pressure on the government, they will definitely heed to what we are requesting. And that makes me think, you remember Honorable William Ruto yesterday, he was saying he's ready to have a conversation concerning whatever we're doing right now. Yeah, meaning he also understands that Kenyans are really suffering, Kenyans are really struggling to make a living.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, wow. That it is touching, considering the fact that I was seeing how students who had gone to school yesterday had to be brought back home.
Back home, yes.
Yeah, and I know you saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
And parents who are actually saying, you know what, we are not okay with how the state of the nation is.
Yeah.
And students had to be brought back home for their safety.
Yes.
While there are those who actually had to stay in school. Regardless of that small number, education still had to proceed.
Yeah.
And of course we hope for the best, wishing that things will calm down. And maybe your recommendations to the government from where you sit, but now in particular, moving forward, what is the solution towards these challenges we are facing as a country?
In the previous regime, we used to have subsidies. We used to buy unga at least at a cheaper price. Right now, things are so expensive. Fuel prices are going up every other day. And we cannot keep blaming Russia and the outside world for the high prices. The government needs to protect us. It needs to bring back the subsidies. We see how is the government able to afford paying 50 CSs, and yet we have Kenyans dying of hunger. They cannot afford food. We have Kenyans suffering, youths looking for jobs, Yeah, so I feel like there's something that the government can do to cater for what we are going through. Either reduce the number of CASs and other public officials that we don't need. We cannot keep carrying carrying joyriders in government and paying them for nothing.
But remember, the president said that the effects of this particular government, the solutions may not be felt immediately. It will take time, according to what the president said, that they have a plan to bring the cost of living down, the fuel prices down, and the economy to ensure that it goes up again. But it will take time. Don't you feel like we need to be patient with the president and with the Kenya Kwanza government?
We'll be patient with citizens dying of hunger. You cannot just sit and watch your fellow citizens in Turkana in northern Kenya dying because of lack of food and water. When in real sense we are saying, we are rewarding, we are trying to make life easy for Kenyans. We also need to have, as much as we have the long-term plans, because that one I understand is a long-term plan for the president and his team, we also need to have a short-term plan to cater for what we are going through right now. Yes.
So, yes, short-term plan is there. Do you feel like Kenyans will turn up again next Monday?
Oh, yes, I am sure.
They will turn up again?
They will turn up again.
Will it be a holiday again?
Let Baba say that.
Only Baba can call a holiday when the constitution doesn't recognize a day as a holiday.
And it happens, yes. Makes me think, who is the president here? William Ruto is the president according to papers, yeah?
The president is
Honorable Raila Odinga.
The president of the Republic of Kenya is William Samoei Ruto.
According to papers.
Not according to papers, according to the Constitution.
Well, yeah, or Constitution. Papers too.
According to the election, according to IEBC, according to what the Constitution has acknowledged,
but
he is the rightful president, voted.
But the fact is, people were underrating Raila Odinga. From the interview we had last week, I think it was on TV 47. Yeah, people were underrating him. People people thought he was bluffing. But now from yesterday, I know they can see the seriousness of the matter. And also the Kenyans supporting Kenya Kwanza, UDA, and the other parties, in Kenya Kwanza. I know they can also feel whatever we are going through, and given a chance, trust me, they will still join us in the same.
Who will join you in the same? UDA?
Yes, citizens, yes.
The
fact is this, William Ruto got 7,000 votes. The number of votes he got, let me not quote the exact number. Okay. He got a certain number of votes. Raila Odinga got a certain number of votes. We still have Kenyans who didn't vote. So meaning, if you take the number of votes that Raila Odinga got, plus the number of voters that didn't vote, you realize that Kenyans are really going through a hard time. Most of the population are the people who do not agree with William Ruto. And as I said, sometimes back on my Twitter, I said, the first thing that William Ruto ought to do is to unite the nation.
But the numbers still don't lie. There is no way of establishing whether those who did not vote supported or did not support the president.
Then why did they? We're assuming, because why didn't they vote? If they supported William Ruto, they should have voted, yeah?
And if they supported Raila, they ought to have voted for Raila.
But they didn't. So we're assuming the reason why they didn't go is because, it's a 50-50 thing.
All right, let's take a break, and then after this break we'll be talking about international education. Moving on from matters concerning the protests aftermath. After this break, let's talk about international education, and you'll define to us what international education, what are we talking about here? Yeah. Cindy, yes, let's take that break. We'll be back with more right here on Good Morning Kenya.
Yakadambea werarkan.
Mimi sijui. Nimesikia tu fununu kwamba hii Seldigan by usiku haitakuwepo.
Sikiza. Na nikamdosia nikasirika kwa vita vitumikaza mguu kidogo, sawa?
Ubuchi kamera za border crossing point zote sahi.
Ati?
Kamera za border crossing point zote sahi.
Tumechezwa.
Roll out! Move! Huyu jamaa unaona kiwa credible kweli?
Tuta find out soon.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustle of funds?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
right, welcome back. This is Good Morning Kenya. Let's talk about matters concerning international education right here. Moving on from matters concerning the aftermath of the election, not election, but protests that took place yesterday. I am with Jen Francis Kialo here, who is a professional tutor and communications specialist. Now, Jane, let's talk about international education, just by definition, first of all. What exactly are we looking into when we use the word international education?
So when we talk about international education, we are looking at the kind of education that is provided all over the world. Yeah, that is uniform curriculum or syllabus that is taught all over the world. In most countries within the world. Okay.
Yes. So as a country, do you feel like we are moving towards that particular direction?
Yes, I feel like that.
All right. So the CBC, is it different from that?
They are not so much different if you compare, because CBC tends to focus on the general well-being of a student, and we don't really focus on how good you are in books. We tend to focus on if you're good in music, you're good in art, you're good in such different stuff. So that is what CBC focuses on, and that is also what the international education focuses on. Because if you look at the curriculum, the kind of subjects that are offered, you have an option of picking art, you have an option of picking music, and playing different instruments and such stuff. So I think they are well correlated.
There are similarities.
Yeah, there are similarities in the two curriculums.
So this conversation of saying no to the CBC is actually downgrading the education system in the country.
Well, what I feel is CBC was a good decision. The problem is it was not very well implemented. They did it so fast.
Okay.
Yeah, we needed to take time, because if you look at what is happening right now, we're talking about junior secondary, and these schools don't even have classes. These kids, they finished grade 6 and they do that exam, and they have nowhere else to go, because where will you take them? You cannot say you're taking them to a secondary school which actually doesn't even have enough classes for the students they're having.
So the unraveling of it was, an unveiling of it was what we did not execute properly.
Yeah, it was not well executed. We needed to have taken a bit of some time, did research, and let the government do investment in the same.
All right.
Yeah.
So how important is education in international development? I'm looking at that particular sector and the role it plays to in regards to the international standards of education and international development.
Basically, when you talk about international development, what do you mean?
I'm looking at how every country correlates, interacts, and communicates with themselves. There was a conversation, remember, that was taking place a few weeks ago. Should Africa have one language? Right. So I'm looking at the international standards of education. In your view, can education play a role in ensuring that there is cohesion internationally?
Yeah, we talk about regional integration. In regional integration, we have various ways in which we can integrate some of these countries.
Yes.
Say, for example, economically, you remember there was a discussion about bringing one currency for the whole of Africa.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
One currency, they talk about one language for the whole of Africa.
Yes.
So many things, unifying, cohesion.
Yeah, and I feel like education-wise, it can be a very good decision.
Yeah.
Because you see what's happening right now. If you go to most of the universities, go to Strathmore, go to SIU, go to the University of Nairobi, Kenyatta, and the like, so many students coming from the different countries. Look at South Sudanese. There's so many. We have so many Rwandese. We have so many people coming to Kenya because they value Kenyan education more than they do in their own countries. Yeah. So I feel like it plays a very big role in ensuring we have that regional integration and the international development. Yes.
How far do you see as a country, as Kenya? How far do you see us going, and how far have we reached? Let's do a stock take of the education sector in the country. Do you feel like we are making good steps forward in ensuring that there is that regional integration at the end of the day?
Yeah, I feel like we are doing a good job.
Yes.
First being the implementation of the CBC, meaning the government came to realization that 844 was focusing more on the books and more on the ability of a student to focus on, you know, studying. And we know not everyone is well, you know, not everyone is good in books, so that means 844 focused more on white collar jobs, when people out here they have different abilities. That is why you see maybe you get a graduate and they're doing some odd job out there, and this person will tell you they have a master's in. Yeah, they didn't go to school to learn. Like, let me talk about, you know, when I went to school, when I finished my Form 4 in 2013, sorry, I went to Strathmore to do law.
Law?
Yes.
How did you end up in...
I didn't even finish a semester, seriously. I didn't.
Why?
I quit school, I went back home, and my parents were like, you know what, if you don't want to go, if you don't want to go back to school, then the decision is yours. So I had to stay home for a couple of months before I went back to do CPA. And having done CPA, my accounting, that is, I call it accounting degree, quote unquote, yeah. I did CPA and I have never practiced all of my life.
You've never practiced? So you started law, did it for a semester, dropped it, and you'll tell me why how long it took for you to realize that, and why you did not encourage yourself to say, let me just try, as many Kenyans do. Went to CPA,
I did it.
Got to CPA 4, all right, dropped it. I don't know if you're planning to proceed.
I'm not.
You're not, and now you're in communications.
I'm in education.
Education?
Yes.
But at ODM, you're
in the communications department.
Communications department.
Yes.
I'm looking at education, communication, CPA, law.
Well, there's the mistake parents make. I'm not saying my parents made a mistake, but you see, when you're telling your kid to choose, or you're telling them to go to the university and do this degree because you feel like you have influence on them, you know, that is, I don't think that is a good idea. You should let your kid, let your daughter or son make a choice of what they feel is best for them. Don't make a choice for your children.
Did somebody help you in this?
No.
You chose it on your own?
On the education?
No, in terms of what you did before. You lacked that person who can guide you through that process, so you chose law.
I lacked that advice. Yeah, I lacked that advice. So that is why you see I made a lot of you know, mistakes. I can't say they're mistakes really, but you know, I was all over. Before I came to realize, you know, I'm good in this and I have to stick in that. Yes.
Did CPA now? You've managed to get to education, and I'm looking at the reasons why you would choose to come up with this organization, with the system where you've chosen to, you know, be a tutor, a professional tutor for that matter. Why did you choose that path?
Because one thing, when somebody goes to the university to do education, the main idea is to get employed by the Teachers Service Commission. You know, you have the security, job security, you can access loans, you have pension. But then if you look at the other side, we normally don't have many teachers teaching international curriculum. But also you cannot just jump into something that you don't know. So you have to equip yourself well enough. You have to do research on the kind of education that you want to offer, and then venture into it. That is what I did. Having done my CPA up to Section 4, having done my Bachelor of Education Science from Mount Kenya University, I got opinions from a couple of friends about the international education. And I learned about the Certificate of International Curriculum that is offered at Riara University. Which now it's just a 3-month course that you do, and you know, you do the exam and get the certificate. There's also another one offered at the Catholic University, which is a bit more expensive, but it's more or less the same thing.
So it's a degree or diploma certificate?
No, well, it's a certificate in international curriculum, something that you do. I can't call it a PGD, I can't call it a postgraduate diploma, because it's just a 3-month course that you do. It's you just study for the 3 months and you do the exam, and yeah, you get the certificate. So that is what I did myself. And then I looked at the market. We have so many students out there struggling with the subjects that I'm teaching, mathematics, chemistry.
Yeah.
So I saw a loophole, you know. I saw
a gap you can fill.
A gap that I can get into, and that is what I did. I took the risk. I resigned from my teaching career. I used to teach at a school in Nairobi. I resigned, and I went into this. Yes.
Wow, that was bold.
Yeah.
That was bold.
I know.
Were you sure when you were resigning that it would turn out well?
Well, I had a number of students, of course, but not as many as I do right now, because like right now I have students in the UK, I have students in US, and of course in Kenya. But I teach both curriculums. I teach the international curriculum, I teach the 844 curriculum.
Now, when you teach the international curriculum and at the same time teach the 844, as you mentioned, have you managed to feel any weaknesses and fault lines in either education systems that need to be worked on?
Yeah, in 844 we have a lot of workload. You saw what happened to the students that did their KCSE in the last sitting. I honestly, these kids really struggled. You know, they could cover a whole booklet, a whole syllabus within a very short period of time. And in real sense, you know, for instance, if you're to cover the Form 4 syllabus, it needs to take you a year. But that is not what was happening. We saw how students were on tours, and the KCSE is still the same paper. So I felt like they were so overburdened and they were so overworked. Yeah.
So the international curriculum, does it help to better equip students in a manner that is more improved or better than the 844 system? Does it put somebody at a better pedestal?
I will compare the two curriculums in terms of exam setting.
Yeah.
When you look at a year 11 paper, that is, I will compare the year 11 with the current Form 3. They do their O-level exam, which is the year 11 exam in Form 3. If you compare it to the 844.
Yeah.
And the exams are so favorable. They will favor a weak student and they will favor, you know, a bright student, in the sense that a weak student will not get a 0, or they will not get a 1 or a 2 or a 3. I mean, they tend to be very simple questions to favor all students. And also there's an option of choosing. We have we have two types of international. I will focus on two types of the international curriculum.
Okay.
You know. There's the Dexel, which is the Pearson, and then we have the Cambridge.
Okay.
At Dexel, we have the foundation papers and we have the higher tier. Meaning, if your student is so bright, you feel you're so confident with your student, you can choose that, the higher tier, or you can choose the foundation. In the Cambridge, we have the extended and the core. If your student is a bit struggling, you can choose the core, which means questions in the core papers tend to be simpler than questions in the extended papers. Yeah, so there's still an option of making a choice. And also you don't have to do like in our 844 system, you're supposed to do either 7 or 8 subjects. Minimum 7, maximum 8, right?
Yeah.
For them, you can make a choice of even 6. And you don't have to do them all in one sitting.
Do they have a minimum?
Yeah, 6.
6.
Yeah. Okay. But you see, you can do them. I mean, if you choose to do your exam in May, June, you do some papers, and then the other papers you do them in November, December, because it's just registration and booking the exam.
So in terms of international education, the 844 needs a revamp. Therefore, we need to move to the CBC that at least caters for the needs of every student.
Yes.
Interesting. So in your line of work, have you managed to get through and see some of the success stories that you can look into? Those things that inspire you, look at them and you're like, wow, they put a smile on your face and you say, this is something I will be doing every single day. Yeah,
you see, there's always that satisfaction that comes with a student doing so well in the exams. You go teach a student and you know they are really, really struggling. You have to start from scratch, teaching them simple stuff, as simple as simplifying fractions.
Oh, okay.
And these students do so well in exams, they get A's and A+. I mean, that is a satisfaction that, I mean, it gives you that motivation to continue doing that, and that is what I enjoy doing. Yes.
Are people receptive of this particular education system?
Yeah, but now the problem is it's a bit expensive. It's quite expensive.
All right.
Yeah.
That many who are enrolling come from a certain class of the community.
Yes.
All
now
right.
that is the challenge that we're facing. It's quite expensive, and most of these students come from the
middle upper class.
Middle upper class, yes.
All right. I'm just guessing there. So, how best can we ensure that it is an education system that the Wanjiko, the common mwananchi, the hustler, remember it's a bottom-up, which I don't know if you subscribe to though. How can you ensure that, you know what, this education system is something that is accessible to the common mwananchi?
Well, we have CBC, which is more, we say it's more or less the same. Of course, it's not up to standard. I can't say they are quite at par, but they are so similar. Yeah. So I feel like with the CBC being implemented, we are making steps towards reaching where the other countries offering some of these things are, some of these education systems are.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, one more thing. I'm looking at the challenges that we face. CBC 844 international curriculum. Some of the complaints that we always get during exams include exam cheating.
Yeah.
Does the international curriculum experience the same challenge?
Of course,
it does.
But we have very serious punishment, including being, expelled.
All right.
From, ever registering and booking an exam with them.
So if
in which you wouldn't even want to get there. Yeah. But you see, why would you cheat in an exam where you're even given choices? It's like ABC.
I'm looking at what you've said. You've said that the international curriculum does not classify students in terms of the strong ones or the weak ones.
No, of course, I didn't choose, does not classify. But you see, there's an option. You as a parent, you know how your student is, if they're weak or if they're bright and the areas they're struggling in. So these students, they can, if I know I have to do an exam, I know I have to prepare well for that exam. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think, I cannot say they don't classify students as strong students or weak students, but there's an option that you make. There's an option that there's a choice that you make on the kind of paper you want to take.
One that suits.
The one that suits you, exactly. The one that suits you.
But the problem is, even if you choose a particular paper that suits you, some still end up cheating on that particular paper, of which you said there are consequences.
Yeah, there are consequences, but in my years of experience, I've not experienced any. I've not seen any of my students cheating.
Ah,
yes.
That's a good move. Yeah. And of course, I want us to bring this conversation to a close, and maybe give you time to have a final word to talk to Kenyans watching you this morning. What would be your parting shot, Jane, as you bring this conversation to a close?
As parents, I don't know whether you're a parent. I don't know whether you subscribe to that.
I am a parent to be.
All the best.
Parent to be.
So there's a mistake that parents do. When you tell your student, I was good in this, I was really good in math, why are you not good? I mean, I think you need to give your student, as much as you're advising your students to do well in their studies, you need to also let them make their choices, Stop comparing them with you, because they will feel intimidated. And they can also be demotivated by the fact that they're not doing well in a certain area, and yet you felt like you were good in the same.
Because parents also want their children to live up to some standards.
Yes. Of course, every parent wants the best for their kids. But you also need to let them make a choice.
All right.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jen, for coming.
Thank you.
I wish you the best. If someone wants to get a hold of you, how can they do that? How can they do so?
Oh, I'm in social media. My Twitter is Jane Kialo, at Jane F. Kialo. Jane Francis Kialo, but no. Jane F. Kialo, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Jane F. Kialo.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming. I wish you the best. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Inspiring people. You mentor, you tutor mathematics?
I tutor mathematics. I have a colleague that we work together, Mr. Duncan Musioka. He teaches chemistry, biology. I teach mathematics, chemistry.
All right.
And also other teachers teaching the other subjects.
All right, and we wish them the best. Keep doing what you're doing. And we know that at the end of the day, let's meet at the professional level where we're calling each other Daktari Professor.
Sure.
And that is what brings us to the end of this conversation right on Good Morning Kenya. We were talking about the state of education, and before that, we highlighted some of the aftermaths of the protests that took place yesterday. Well, without further ado, let's bring this conversation to a close. My name is Magugu, but keep tuned in to KBC for more of our programming coming up throughout the whole of the rest of the day. May God bless you. May God bless the work of your hands. This is Good Morning Kenya.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustler fund?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
FM ilayska umada
yakadambea werarkan.
Mimi sijui. Nimesikia tu fununu kwamba hii Seldigan by usiku haitakuwepo.
Sikiza. Nani kamdosi mkasirika kwa vita vitumikaza mguu kidogo, sawa?
Ibuchi kamera za border crossing point zote sahi.
Ati?
Kamera za border crossing point zote sahi.
Tumechezwa.
Roll out! Move! Huyu jamaa unaona kiwa credible kweli?
Tuta find out soon.
If they haven't returned the bracelet yet, I really don't understand. Why are you doing this to yourself?
It's your fault. All your fault. And I was hesitating and wanted to